I am Shaggy. I am Philolitea. And I think it makes sense for me to do my mornings like this. I think it makes sense for me to just turn on my camera and let you see what the morning is really like. I smoke less when I'm live, but the weekend didn't produce anything. What I mean by that is on TikTok and YouTube, the shorts. The material that's produced on the weekend is even more mindless than during the week. About Thursdays, your shorts creators start to have had enough of being fake, and they start to have little explosive expressions of their realities. But by Saturday it's back to the grind, right? Well, it's Monday when the grind typically begins. But if you work service, hospitality, retail, entertainment, Monday is your typical day off. That's usually your slack day. A lot of places are just closed on Sundays. Like, I've worked a lot of mom and pop restaurants that were just closed on Sundays because the Sunday crowd was so toxic to the servers, and the store didn't make any money. The servers didn't make any money. The store didn't make any money. It didn't make any sense to be open on Sunday. I just remembered that I need to be stressed out about the fact that I left my microphone dongle attachment, whatever. I lost it yesterday. I either left it on the patio at Panera, or I I hope that what I did is I dropped it down into the seat, that it didn't get down into the floor, because if it got down into the floor, there's a very good chance it got vacuumed up. So I'll be asking for another $25 if that's the case, because I can't stream from inside the store. But we'll figure it out. Hi guys, good morning. Hope you're doing well. I don't really have anything to talk about this morning. Um, I am a tent-dwelling, religious, monastic. Morning, Nina. Morning, Thomasville. And today I haven't put my pants on yet because it's chilly outside. I have 70-some% of my battery. I cannot read that, but good morning, Ali. Well, privateer, it's not a lazy eye. I have partial facial paralysis from brain injuries. Well, my day is going all right. Yes, I don't have pants on yet. Get at me. My day's going great, Thomas. I'm enjoying the morning in my tent, enjoying the sounds of the crickets and the animals. Yes, Ali is Arabic. I could pick that much up. Um, enjoying the sound of the crickets and the birds in the morning, waking up. I've been awake since before the sunrise, so I've enjoyed watching the inside of my tent brighten. Yeah, it's a good morning for me. I hope you guys are doing all right. I did choose to leave my socks on last night, which was a mistake. It's gonna have me doing laundry sooner than I would like. Good morning, get at me. But say lovey. I actually need to make a few dollars before I can do laundry again, so we'll see what happens with the week. Some mornings I lie here and I tell myself that, well, money's not making just lying here listening to the crickets. And I tell myself, well, money's not making going live either. So it's not about the reward. It's not about doing it. It's not about the gratification. or rather, it's not about doing it for the gratification. It's not about me. It's about you guys. So on some level, being Philaletea, I also play the role of philosopher. I enjoy a good dialectic as much as anybody. So if you got something going on in your life or some subject that you're working on, I'd love to talk about it. I need to be researching the book of Luke. I need to be diving back into my biblical criticism, but I just don't have the money to spend on the books right now. Sup, Bobs? I don't really want to repeat that I'm lying here in my tent listening to the morning, but that's what's up with me. Thank you for those likes. I do appreciate that. And good morning. I see there are 15 of you hanging out with me. That's very cool of you. I'm in a chill spot this morning. I'm not quite as stoned as I would normally be, or as I'd like to be, but I don't have anything on my mind. If I had run out of things to say, which would have been a minute ago, no, it would have been about 4 minutes ago, and nobody was here with me, I probably would have just picked up and started reading from the Bible or something. It's the only book I have handy. Thank you for those hearts. I do appreciate those. I'm kind of boring this morning, and I know that. I'm okay with that. I have breakfast to eat. I need to brush my teeth. You know, I don't have anywhere to be. And as someone who has pathological demand avoidance, who's been diagnosed with pathological demand avoidance, which isn't something I want to talk about. If you have questions, I'll answer them, but I don't want to talk about it. Having places to be is a demand. And so I'm 38 years old. I try my hardest to be considerate, Nina. I'm 38 years old, and until last year, I've lived in either corporate environments or under somebody else's thumb, with just constant demands on my time. Well, chill, my guy. I remember you. I worked nights. I avoided the sun because nights, but also I avoided overexposure to the sun. I smile. I don't frown. I'm 38. I avoided hard drugs. I ate adequately. I didn't put my skin through unnecessary stress with things like alcohol, heroin, crack cocaine, methamphetamine. Yeah, it's not hard to keep your body looking young if you don't do the things that make your body look old. Yes, I smoke weed. The things that we associate with being young are having plump cheeks and no frown lines around the eyes. But if I took my glasses off and you were really to see it on days where I haven't been eating adequately, you can really see the stress around my eyes from 15 years in retail service hospitality. I don't know how to pronounce that, but I'm going to call you Rue, and hello, Rue. It's nice to make your acquaintance. I haven't said it to all of you, but it is nice to make the acquaintance of all of you so far. Just Vids, I wouldn't describe myself as homeless, but according to the state of Ohio, because I don't have a permanent residence, yes, I'm classified as homeless. Please, Mysterio, in the future, don't tell me what I should do. I don't like Kanye. I'm not homeless, I have a home, but I don't have a permanent residence. So I don't describe myself as homeless. But I don't think it's true that nobody likes Kanye. I'm sure Kanye has friends and family who love him and like him dearly. I just don't like his music or the way he behaves. I mean, I'm not doing my best to look gorgeous. I literally just woke up like this. I hear you, Mysterio, and um, thank you for taking my asking you not to tell me what to do. Well, yeah, you don't like his politics, chill. I don't know what we're laughing at. I wasn't trying to be funny. I think there was a time where everybody liked that song Gold Digger. I remember, what was that, 2005, 2006? Yeah, right. Which Kanye West are we talking about? Are we talking about the Kanye West who decided he was a neo-Nazi for a philosophical position? Yeah. Well, there was a time. Okay, look. So, so Kanye and I, Kanye and I have similar paths. I don't know what we're laughing at, but Kanye and I have similar intellectual paths, where Kanye came to realize that the world is a place that has a deep intellectual history that he could participate in. He came to that late in life. And so he came to believe that he was enlightened. That's why he went through this whole Christ consciousness period of his life. He found there's a particular cult in the African American community in the United States. That's why I said African American community, that believes that the people who were brought from the African continent to the American continent to work as slaves, that those people were the lost tribe of Israel and are the chosen people of God. And so he got caught up in this cult and believes that he's their reincarnation of the Jesus Christ. And so, for the sake of argument, I make that argument about myself all the time. So when he was in that interview and he said, well, I love Hitler and I think that Hitler did some good things, when Kanye West said those things, he was trying to take a relativistic philosophical standpoint and for the purpose of dialectic. But the problem is, he did it in a place that isn't a dialectic. He did it on a gotcha platform that was trying to make him look like an asshole. Well, he's already an asshole. But that's unimportant. I don't really want to talk about Kanye, but thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk about some things that I did want to talk about. Hello, P. Diddy. Yeah, he was trying to take the Jesus position of loving thy neighbor and thy enemy. And so he was trying to say, I love Hitler even though he's my enemy. And he just did it in a place that was inappropriate for that message. If he had done it on Jordan Peterson's platform, everybody would have thought it was the best thing that anybody had ever done. But he did it on national television, on a gotcha news program. So, it's like, if he were enlightened, he would have understood the difference in time and place. He would have understood appropriate time, appropriate place. And so the reason I say that he and I have similar career tracks or similar intellectual tracks is this is not the appropriate time or the appropriate place a Monday morning on a YouTube live to be a philosophical relativist in the way that I am being. Do you understand what I'm saying? A gotcha program. Okay. So, do you understand what that term gotcha means? Can we start there? Like, without me condescending to you, if I were to say gotcha, you understand what that is. Okay, so American news programming, when we have these internet interview shows, I'm assuming by the way you spelled program that you're in the UK, or at least that you're in Europe. And so our interview news shows, yeah, they're trying to catch you saying something soundbite worthy so that it can become a meme so they can ruin your career. That's what you understand this when you talk about Rupert Murdoch's his is it Rupert Murdoch? He owns the Daily Mail. Is that right? Did I get that right? He owns one of the rags in London that does this, that started this. All of our television is yellow journalism. I should have said that to a world audience. Do you understand what I mean by yellow journalism? All of our television is yellow journalism. When you turn on the TV and you're trying to see journalism, you're not going to get that. What you're going to get is gossip, and you're going to get these news programs trying to tank important people's careers. We spell it without the M and the E. We spell it without the French, frankly. It's so for us, it's not a programa, it's just a program. Yeah, Gnome King is saying, especially in the US, because he ducked in after I said that that's all of our journalism in the US is that. Yeah, chill. Um, it's ratings chasing is what they call it, but I'm old enough. I was very young, but I'm old enough to remember the OJ trial and that fucking Jeep chase where they were chasing him in his fucking, what was it, Bronco, when they were chasing him in the Bronco. American television is sensationalism. It's a horrible. Yeah, we don't spell color with the U. That's correct. We tend to not. Most of the words that you spell with that U, Keith, we drop the U. Okay. I dropped out of American television before I was young enough to really understand what I was dropping out of. I used to skip school between kindergarten and fifth grade and stay home and watch daytime television to see what the adults were watching. So I ended up watching a lot of Ricky Lake. Um, and I figured out by fifth grade that television, that the adults, what they're watching is trash. And this was in the 90s. Fair enough. I mean, bisexual Americans spell with the U. Price is Right is the shit, though. Price is Right is fucking awesome. Even with the new guy. Price is Right is just a great game, and game shows are a lot of fun to watch. Mysterio, that's a big question, and a lot of them. I don't mind you asking the question. Um, but it's hard to answer. It's hard to answer quickly. Um, I have an idiosyncratic worldview, not so much religion. I'm religious. I'm bound. I'm bound. Religio. This is why it's difficult to talk about. When we talk about religion, religion is the noun form of the Latin word, or it's an English noun form of the Latin word religio, and religio is a verb, okay, and it means to bind, and it's referring in the Indo-European uh, world cognitive system, that binding is referring to the invention of the wheel, the cart, the chariot, the horse to the chariot. It's referring all the way back to that original invention, that original technological explosion that allowed the Indo-European language family to become what it is today. And so if you ask me what religion I follow, I am trying as hard as I can to get back to the beginning. Yeah, Jello Donut says he's confused why modern religions don't want to talk about how they have evolved out of older religions, um, and stories, myths like the tales of Gilgamesh. And yeah, Gilgamesh is one of my favorite stories. Um, I've written um, my own homage. I don't think that's true, Jello Donut. The word Jesus is derived from the Greek word Yesu, or the Latin word Yesu, which is derived from the Hebrew name Yeshua, and I don't think that. Well, this is one of my hobbies, August, but I also enjoy macrame, and I write. Um, yeah, church is supposed to be peaceful. Astro RVE, that's what it's for. Um, and worship. This is why Mysterio, his questions. No, not it's not so much PB. It's not so much that all religions are made up from older religions. It's that they've all evolved. No, I live in a tent because I am technically homeless, Keith. but I'm a religious monastic, and it allows me to do and talk about these things. So it's not so much that they're all made up from older religions. It's that they're all evolving out of the human experience, and that religion began out of trying to answer and solve the problems that a government can't. Don't be sorry to hear it, Keith. We're having a good time, I thought. Don't bring everybody down. So it's not so much that they're made up from, it's that they're evolved out of. Because what happened, if you were to take the last 10,000 years and you were to really draw it out, and I've done this, I haven't drawn the map, but I've really done this, I've done the research, and you look at it, what you will find is that religions answer the questions of a day until a cataclysm. Then they don't answer the questions of the day, and they no longer work. So post-cataclysm, a new religion answers the questions of that day and the current day, and they work until a cataclysm. And so if you take Christianity for example, Christianity is the now it works and answers the question for the Jewish cataclysm of the Roman invasion, right? And then the Roman cataclysm of collapse leads to the permanent split, the permanent schism between Eastern and Western, and the north, or rather in the northern part of the Mediterranean. And then everybody has forgotten that the Coptic Church just lived and thrived the whole time. And so that's what I'm talking about. I wouldn't say that the Bible is lies. I would say that what you've been taught about the Bible is lies. Because if we sit and we read the Bible is profoundly true. It's not like other religions. Mysterio says from a neutral outlook, it's like other religions have influenced each other and have taken some parts of other religions, but it's not like they all come from a common denominator. That's interesting, because if you really dive into the anthropology and the it's called comparative mythology. There's a whole school of this. You can get degrees in this, you can get work in this. There is good publishing opportunities in this field, comparative mythology, because Joseph Campbell was a shithead and didn't know what the fuck he was talking about. But he came onto this idea of a thing called a monomyth, and that's what you're talking about. They're from a common denominator, an original religion, a monomyth. And so what you're talking about, it's like they've influenced one another. It's not like anything. They influenced one another because there's cultural and informational exchange. Because what I'm telling you is that what religions have been trying to do since the first that we've found, the first obviously religious monumental site is called Göbekli Tepe, and it's about 11,500 BC old. So from us, that's about 1,400 years old, or 14,000. Let's just say 14,000 and round up. Okay, so 14,000 BCE. They're making this monumental religious site, okay? And what we know they were trying to do is stave off the cataclysm that would prevent them from continuing to build that monumental site. That stops being the case after they bury that site on purpose. But later, before language is written down, before writing is developed, in the Mediterranean, in a place called Cyprus, on an island called Cyprus, I think I'm getting that wrong, on an island called Malta, it's one of those two, there is another monumental religious building site where they were tracking the movements of the stars. They were also tracking the movements of the stars at Göbekli Tepe. I am of the opinion that what they were doing was tracking how long it takes us to go through that particular meteor shower that rains shit down on our planet, because there was a cataclysmic explosion in our atmosphere very recent to that may or may not have had anything to do with the Younger Dryas freezing. But if you had experienced an asteroid exploding in low Earth orbit, right over the planet, boom! If you had experienced the one over Russia, I can't remember what it's called right now, that leveled that forest for miles. If you had seen that, you would think, We need to do everything we can to make sure that fucking never actually hits the ground because the gods protected us this time. Okay, so from the common denominator and the influence, we're going to skip forward about 10,000 years to the invention of the Indo-European language family, or at least the emergence into the world stage of the Indo-European language family. What the Indo-European language families have, the Proto-Indo-European language family has, that it gifts to all of its daughter and cousin and sister language families, is a monomyth, is an original religion and an original religious structure. So when you asked me what gods I believe in, it's not so much that I believe in gods. I believe in the word. I believe in language because that's what they were focused on. They were focused on the importance of names. And so every religion that touched an Indo-European people became very focused on the name. If you follow the Bible, just chronologically, the evolution of the Jewish faith, they become modern Jews when they interact with the Hittites, who were an Indo-European people, who were writing in cuneiform, which was a Sumerian script. So the when we talk about Gilgamesh, you brought up Gilgamesh. When we talk about Gilgamesh, the Hittites borrowed Gilgamesh. Shupiluliuma uses Gilgamesh's origin story for his origin story, why he gets to be king. And so that did make its way back into the Indo-European language family. That's kind of where Heracles comes from. That hero figure is taking that Gilgamesh story and making it their own. And then the Heracles figure becomes the jawbone guy who kills a bunch of Philistines. Well, what are Philistines? Greek-speaking people. What is Greek? Indo-European. So even the Jewish mythic churn is constantly adapting to the fact that the Indo-European mythic system is much bigger and better suited to the current environment because they were a migratory people before the Hebrew language existed. Okay, and so I'm way behind chat, and we'll get there. I disagree, PB. I used to believe that, but now I think that religion is the only reason I'm alive. No, you shouldn't keep slaves. Okay, so PB, this is where I'm telling you that the religion, especially the doctrine and the dogma of the religion, are reacting to the time because they're not the government and they don't get to tell the government what to do now that it's no longer 5000 BCE. You understand that what writing did, writing came about 3500 BCE. What writing did is it made sure that the government got to be in control of who did and knew what. And so what religion did was wrote down rules to give to illiterate people who were doing things that the government wasn't in control of. There were no police, there were no law courts to which slaves could appeal. But slaves could appeal to a pastor, slaves could appeal to a wandering shaman, slaves could appeal to a prophet, slaves could appeal to what would become a rabbi. They could appeal to these people, and those people would come into town, like a Levite and Leviticus. Leviticus is the doctrine of the Levites, and so this is what the Levites were going around and enforcing with weapons. And so if you were mistreating your slaves, a Levite would come in, quote that, and then beat you. And if you resisted, you might die. I'm in Ohio, Ebony. Every religion has this cataclysm. Christianity has had this cataclysm over and over and over and over and over again. The history of the United States is religious cataclysm. I used to really listen to and read. I've read a lot of Graham Hancock. He's very wrong about a lot. Thank you, River Rat, for the praise. Mysterio, what I'm saying is that you were being overly cautious and kind in your language, and that's all I was saying. When I said it's not like anything, it's exactly that. I'm saying that you can just state that. It's this, because you're right. Asking questions if you want to know the answer, PB, is called dialectic. If you don't want the answer, it's called being a pedant and a troll. Well, why? What does? Okay, so Jelly Donut wants me to bring up the Dead Sea Scrolls and says, but then he says there's too much out there. I came to religion by reading the Dead Sea Scrolls. So, like when Mysterious asked me who my God is, and the reason I said it's difficult for me to answer, it's because I have a very Gnostic tinged worldview. When I was talking about names, I absolutely there are hierarchies of names. It's even in my identity. When I call myself Philaletheia, that's a higher religious abstract than Philosophia, because Aletheia, even in the Gnostic, we call it a pantheon, but it's really a hierarchy of concepts. Within any pantheon, there's any pantheon is just a hierarchy of concepts. Okay, it's not actually people. It's not a pantheon is a terrible word, because the pantheon is one place. It's a particular temple that a guy built that wasn't dedicated to any one god. It was dedicated to the pantheon, all gods. You see what I'm saying? So a pantheon, or even pantheology, is a silly term. It's a contradiction in terms. It doesn't make any sense. A hierarchy of concepts, however, is what they're trying to articulate. These people, anthropologists, mytholographers, whatever, scholars, academics in general, that's what they're trying to articulate, is a hierarchy of concepts. And each name is a concept, and those concepts fill out a genealogy, a flow chart, that models the human brain and the lived experience in reality. If you're Hindu, you know exactly what the fuck I'm talking about. It's That's what your faith system is. That's what the Veda is doing. The Veda is an Indo-European language, by the way. Vedic is an Indo-European thing. Okay, so Aletheia, Aletheia is a goddess that Plato introduces in the Phaedrus, which is a book that I'm reading on the channel. Um, and it really means not forgetting. It actually doesn't mean truth. It means not forgetting. It's a higher intellectual and religious concept even than the Buddhist mindfulness, to which Plato would have had access at the time, because the Indo-European peoples were trading among themselves. So we know that the Greeks were attached to the Silk Road. We know that the Hindu people were attached to the Silk Road. They were communicating, even if it was just individuals. They were communicating. They may not have had each other's books, but they were communicating. And Plato was Socrates' student, and Socrates fed he literally fed himself and his family off dialectic, this thing that we're doing right now. Literally, he lived off the donations of students and passersby, like we're doing right now. So the Aletheia is a higher conception than Sophia, because Sophia is wisdom. Sophia is just kind of like picking what old people say and living based on the guidance of old people. But Aletheia is about reaching to a higher conception. Like when you said that the Bible wasn't true, and I said, well, it's deeply true. That's what I'm talking about. You can learn a lot from YouTube. Well, there aren't mushrooms that grow in the desert, Jello Donut, so that can't be true. Um, Chill, the Hindu religion is not older than all religions. It's about the same age as Homer. Sure, that's why I said, PB. It's not that the Bible is untrue. It's that the people who are teaching you about the Bible are untrue. The one, you're so far behind me and in the chat that if you wanted to ask me a question, you're just gonna have to ask it, big guy. Yeah, PB, that's called dialectic. When you ask questions that you want the answer to, whether you think you know it or not, that's called dialectic. No, Jesus has not revealed himself to me. I'm still not convinced that Jesus was a real person. I wouldn't subscribe to anybody else's religious group because that's called cult, and I'm not here to be a follower. My father Mysterio asked me, would I subscribe to one of the Gnostic religious groups, or do I mix them to my beliefs? And when he says, in parenthetical, he says, when I mean Gnostic groups, I'm talking about the Christian Gnostic groups in Christianity, early history. No. um, I like the Sethian Gnostics a great deal, enough that the Jane Roberts Seth material makes me very angry. um, But no, because they were trying to answer the problems. They were trying to answer the problems of their day, and the problems of the first century AD have absolutely nothing to do with my life. Have absolutely nothing to do with my life. Hello, Bean. I've never been outside of the United States, and within the United States, I've only been for an extended period of time in North Carolina and Ohio. I've been to Arizona and St. Louis, Missouri, and we've driven through the Virginias and Kentucky, but I've never been in either of them for any period of time. CJ, no, I'm homeless. I live in a tent. I'm a religious, a monastic, and ascetic, and I engage in dialectic, hoping for Patreon subscriptions and uh, monetary support so I can eat later today. I don't know what you're saying correct to, Slim Richard. Sikhism is one of the youngest religions today. Sorry, buddy. There's no way. Well, I mean, you could have read the description of this live before you asked, but, here we are. No reason to apologize now. They say ask questions and apologize later. Just ask the question. Apologize if you did damage, or if you're the reason I'm homeless. Are you the judge that interrupted me in the middle of my defense to say that I had lost my case? If you're him, I'd like your address so I can come fucking ruin it. Your home. Come burn it down. You giving me your address after I said that means it's not a premeditated crime. Hello, Jaden. I wish you hadn't said that. I'm not likely or inclined to engage with you as a serious person any longer. This stream is intense. It's intent. We focus on intent. Greetings, Warren. You said something about ignore Americans or whatever earlier. But hello. In the postmodern, neoliberal, ultra-humanist world, we don't tend to identify people by their place of residence, however. Sikhism is not old at all. Sikhism is from the Middle Ages. Sikhism is a reaction to the cataclysm of Islam destroying India. Islam was its own cataclysm. I have a Patreon incoming lights. My Patreon subscribers know that they're paying for my weed. So this is what I have to say to you. Get fucked. Sooner rather than later, you'd have a better attitude. Did you know that research says that the only thing, if what you're trying to do is treat your body dysmorphia, and you don't want to actually go under the knife to treat it, the only thing that treats it is a loving sexual relationship? So get fucked. It'll make you happier. By anybody. Doesn't matter who. Just do it with them on the regular. That right there, free mental health advice. No therapist will actually say those words out loud, but they will constantly be recommending to you that you engage in casual sex. It's not true. Because, see, the thing you don't understand, I like myself, it's not about how she treats you. It's about how you throw the dick. So what you're saying is that you know how to stroke it better than you know how to poke it. I don't have any plans to retaliate. When people apologize to me for my homelessness, I ask them if they're my judge for permission to burn his house down. It's not retaliation. It's permission. See how he likes being homeless. Because of his decisions. Thank you, Mysterio. Well, I'm not, and I know you mean no harm, buddy. You're asking good questions. You're giving me an opportunity to dialectic, which other people may tip me for, which is what I'm here for. Um, I am not an optimist, however. I am a positivist nihilist. And good morning, Tactical Tony. How tactical are you? Do you know the difference in tactics and strategy, and can you tell me? Because I don't. Morning, Orophile. What is the Greek prefix, rather, phoneme, maybe even, oro? Probably not anything I wanted to know. Well, then you may or may not completely misunderstand what I'm going through. I like myself. Sorta doesn't give me a lot of confidence that you know the difference. Yeah, I kind of have a feeling that oro is something that I don't need to hear about. It's probably not. It's probably not actually polite, or rather, appropriate to polite company. I've been homeless since September. Well, really October, November. Which one's first? October. The end of September last year. I don't know what crashing out means, so never. The Roman Empire is my Roman Empire. Hello, Zoe. Did you know that your name means life in Greek? I became homeless because I was living with a deeply mentally ill woman because she said that she wanted the stability of somebody who knew how to cope with her mental illness. And she decided that she wanted to fuck somebody other than me and kick me out. I kind of plan to stay homeless for the rest of my life. It's not me. They're kind of very different though, and you actually defined that very well. Your strategy is the war and your tactics are the battle. Yeah, I stay good. I stay clean. I've actually been in the sun all summer. I'm all tanned and junk, and you can tell because that's what I look like this winter. But thank you for the definition, Tactical. I was teasing you a little bit. I hope you know that. I actually didn't know the difference. Do my spirits seem down? I like myself. Well, yeah, but see, you went into homelessness like a silly person, and I went into homelessness with combat boots, a tent, and a mummy sleeping bag. So we're not the same kind of person. Winter was awesome. I documented every single day of it. Warren, I don't know why you keep calling me a woman. If you saw my dick, you wouldn't think I was a woman. You would think, oh, I'm not a man. Well, Zoe, I have a Patreon. You can subscribe for free to keep up with my art and my writing. And the minimum, I think, is like $10. I could make it $1 if I got enough people asking me to at the free level. Then why do you call yourself orophile if you don't know what it means? It means you're a lover of oro. I'm bothered by you, I like myself. Well, I mean, I don't exactly want to be homeless forever. I would like to not have to be able to think about every meal I eat. I am trying to make $1,000 a month on Patreon that I can know is not going to change so I can get a home. Well, I'm not in Canada. And I don't want to be in Canada. Canadians are assholes. I don't know if you've ever met a Canadian or talked to one online, but Canadians are dickheads. They're some of the worst fucking people in the world. And they know it. All that sorry shit is just a cover. It's about tourism. 'Cause y'all are fucking broke. Not better than Americans. They're fake. American will tell you to go fuck yourself to your face, just like this. Go fuck yourself, Slim. It's an interesting name, Oro. I've been trying to get you to tell me what your name means this whole time, and you're not telling me what it means. It means it's your name. And you, like I love myself, are a big fan of you. Canada's not better than America. Canada would be what Americans were like if they were frozen dickheads. Like we have like Florida. I've never been to Florida, but I worked in the mountains in North Carolina at a pizza spot, and so we used to get Floridian tourists, and Floridians are hilariously crazy. Very little is better than America. There are very few places that have the immigration rates that America does. I don't follow football. I don't follow football, August, so I don't know the difference. I would like you to prove that, Jordan. Your name's spelled wrong. Probably not, Warren, because your people are much more French. You like to talk about the English Commonwealth and the English common law and how important it was to the foundation of your country, but you're French. Even if you try to say, well, French Canada is French Canada, the whole place was settled by French trappers. That's what I'm saying. Canada's probably beautiful, but the people up there suck. There's a reason that your celebrities all are famous for being in America. Like Jim Carrey stands right out. There's a reason. Yeah, it's beautiful. I'm sure it's absolutely beautiful. And I'm sure that it's very cool it used to be very cool to be able to go to wherever it was and get whatever drugs you wanted and live in utter poverty. But they're all douchebags. Yeah, it's that, orophile. It's that. They identify with that British politeness, but they think they're better than everybody. So they're not actually humble as they're doing that Suri thing. They're trying to show you up. Bryan Adams is my dad's favorite singer-songwriter. So I have a, how do I want to say this? I recognize his voice. Oh, you're probably saying he's Canadian. I don't know, maybe. Okay. Well, I don't know if we're seeing multiple Americans talking about people not being humble, but I am certainly putting the truth to the lie that Canadians aren't what you think they are. They're a tourist destination. That's hard for me to answer, August, because I want to be in Scandinavia, so my heart says no, but there are many Scandinavians who move here and prefer it. So I don't know because I've never lived in both places for an extended amount of time, but I want to be in the Scandinavian or the French mountains. Poland seems awesome if what you like is trains and vodka. I'd happily, at this point in my life, because I've lived so few places, and I'm ready to frankly, I'm ready to retire to a grave. I'd love to live anywhere. Yeah, Denmark seems really cool if you like bicycles too. Japan seems super cool, expensive. They're not very friendly to outsiders, Japan. Not very friendly to tourists. So if you're not there to immigrate, they're not. Ohio's a shithole. Ohio's where I am. Sweden seems to have a really cool like metal scene. Ohio's a tourist destination. There's a comedian, Jim Gaffigan. He talks about Indiana. Indiana's the next state over to the west. It's basically the same biome. Um, and he says that Indiana is a great place to be from. Ohio's crime is nuts. Cedar Point's cool. I went there in 2003 or something like that. Oh, Sweden, you mean Sweden's crime? Crime is yeah, tons of good music comes out of Sweden. Stockholm, and I know Norway. I know that I was going to say Oslo. I know that's in Norway, but Stockholm and Oslo make tons of great music. Yeah, Texas is a great place to be from. A lot of the reason that Scandinavian countries are so happy is because they're still so loosely populated. I love heavy metal. It's just hard to be an adult anywhere in the world if your parents weren't rich and didn't love you, Tristan. Tristan says it can be hard to live as an adult if not in the right place, and it's like it can be difficult to exist as an adult if your parents weren't wealthy and don't love you. But he's talking about one of the countries that we've mentioned before, probably Japan because they're a monoculture and for sure. Nothing wrong with that though. I don't know what Orophile is rebelling against, but clearly one of his parents doesn't love him as much as the other. The mistake that everyone makes is not being born rich to loving parents. Yeah, how dare we? I see Scandinavia is nice because of the monoculture. I believe that. I believe that. Um, I believe that because I've studied the Viking Age very closely, and the Vikings were actually beloved by everyone but the monastics and the soldiers. The soldiers needed somebody to fight, so they had to hate somebody. But the common people, especially the women, the wives of the soldiers, loved the Vikings. Well, you don't have to do anything, Warren, but if that's what you've chosen to do and it's gotten you through it and that's your, yeah, if that's your grind set, get at it. It works for some people. I mean, I am here at the grind technically. Well, each Scandinavian country to his point was is nice because they used to each be a monoculture. I follow a guy who's he's a Scandinavian linguist, and he talks about this, so he's not saying anything that's not untrue to from their perspective. Hello, Spartan. But compared to America, yeah, like Norway's government with the whole oil refund thing, U.S. couldn't do that. I see you're back, Mick. weird that I can't shake certain people. But yeah, the United States doesn't want to be a monoculture, and that's why I said, like, if you ask which is better to live in, there are a lot of Scandinavians that like that we're not a monoculture, so they move here, and there are a lot of Americans who like the monoculture specific to whichever Scandinavian nation they're in. I'm just not sure that's true, Slim. From their perspective, they are. Finland is very different than Sweden, is very different than Norway, is very different than Denmark, is very different than the Faroe Islands, is very different than Greenland, is very different than Ireland. I'm sorry, Iceland. I was off by one letter. Give me some slack. I've never been outside of Ohio or North Carolina. I've never left the states. I'm too poor. Finland. Finland is a very sparsely populated country that is very happy with their literacy rates and tech prowess. Yeah, I haven't left the tent yet. I have no reason to. I'm working. Because you haven't said anything that I need to respond to, Lawrence. Spartan Ghost, is that a reference to Kratos, the God of War, or is that a thing that you did not knowing about the God of War series? Yeah, it doesn't mean zero other cultures. It means the national. Tristan is correct about this. This is a good working I'm sorry. Tristan is correct about this. This is a good working definition for those of you who don't have one in the future. A monoculture doesn't mean zero other cultures. It just means national identity is cohesive and formed around a long-standing historical ethnic identity. That's correct. This feels like work to me, Mick. I'm sorry, Ash. Greetings, Kauk-ish. Did I get close? Kauch-ish. Greetings from the Apache tribe. I constantly find myself trying very hard not to talk about the Skinwalker mythology because it's not mine to talk about. Yes, I am being paid, Ashbo. You didn't really answer my question, Spartan. Are you Kratos or are you somebody else? No, I don't. I'm not allowed to have fire at my site, Warren. And I wouldn't want to risk, yeah, I don't want to. That's what I said, Tristan. I don't want to talk about it because it's not mine to talk about. My great-grandmother was Shawnee, but I didn't know her. No, Megan, I'm technically homeless. I'm a religious ascetic, monastic. I live in this tent, and I, I do what I'm doing now. How close was I, though, Kay? I'd really like to know. Thank you, Spartan Ghost. It's nice to make your acquaintance, Kratos. No, no, America's national identity is anything but cohesive. I love it, Megan. I wouldn't have had the opportunity to make your acquaintance if I didn't do this. Take care, Chill. I'm going to eventually make a pledge to do this every day if if my battery is sustained. For sure, August, it's not poor people moving to the United States from anywhere unless they're refugees. I don't want to talk about the reproduction crisis, Spartan, but I have addressed it earlier. So if you wanna swing back and listen to me talk about how to have a good relationship, I have talked about it. Coach eyes, like the song. I love that song. I was just thinking yesterday about how much better that song is than I was just thinking about how much better the intro to that song is than another bass intro similar. Oh, a Red Hot Chili Peppers song. Coach Eyes, the intro, the junk junk. You know that whole. I can't think of how it goes now. The whole part before that in Coach Eyes. There's a Red Hot Chili Peppers. It's probably Under the Bridge or something that starts almost exactly the same. And the Coach Eyes by that's Audio Slave is so much better. I didn't see what you told me to take care of, August. Oh, okay, yeah, the U.S. doesn't take care of its people. No, the U.S. wants its people to be homeless. The U.S. is doing its very best to make its people wage slaves. Uh, Megan, sort of. I can't eat the plants around me, and I can't afford to grow plants that I could. And if I did, I would be improving the ground, which would be that would qualify me for squatters' rights. So the owner would want me to get off the property. And so when you say that everything we need is already here, everything I need is on the other side of that camera because somebody's got the $10 that'll pay for my lunch today. You see what I'm saying? I don't know if that's true, Lawrence. Oh, thank you for teaching me about that, Coach Ice. I didn't know that that was the name of an Apache war chief. That's very cool to me. My ex-wife is absolutely doing reprehensible things, in my opinion. But that's why she's an ex-wife. Technical death metal. My favorite technical death metal band is Decapitated from Poland. I live stream every day. I screencast during the day. I play video games and then do this, just talk about what I'm talking about, or I'll listen to a book. I screencast throughout the day, so every night after 8 p.m. I screencast. I've been playing Final Fantasy. I'm gonna move to Final Fantasy 2 tonight, but just all day. That's how often I live stream all day. It's nice to make your acquaintance, August. I try to get 8 hours of live. I try to get 8 hours of live stream in a day. The the pre 20th century United States wasn't anywhere approaching a monoculture. Somebody's never heard of the caning on the Senate floor or the Civil War or states' rights. Never heard of Andrew Wilson. No, I've been denied. Warren Grange asked me if there's any social assistance to get me help me get necessities. No, I've been denied all of it. I don't know what my ex-wife is doing. I haven't kept up with her since 2015. This is as good as my life has ever gotten, Tristan. The only way it could get better is if I were making money right now. I play a different video game every day. So today I'm either going to play Medieval 2 Total War, which is inconvenient, or I'm going to play something else. I don't know, something. I'm going to figure out something to play today. Maybe Final Fantasy Tactics. So that's Monday. Tuesdays I play Titan Quest. Wednesdays I've been playing some roguelite. So I want to play Brotato, but it won't load. Just won't open on my phone. So I've been playing Dead Cells. Um, that's Wednesday. Thursday is Final Fantasy 7. Nope. Thursday is Chrono Trigger. Friday is Final Fantasy 7. Saturday is Symphony of the Night. And I fucking hate that game. So I might be changing my mind about what I'm playing on Saturdays. And then Sunday, I've been playing what my Patreon subscribers ask me to play. And yesterday they asked me to play Dead Cells all day, so I played Dead Cells all day. I got my first win, so I got my first cell. So now I'm on hard, and now I'm getting my ass kicked again. So that's the games I'm playing. And then we'll be playing Final Fantasy 2 at night. Wu Chang, that's the new fuck where you play as the girl that Donkey just made fun of, right? It's the new Souls like. I haven't had a legitimate console since about 2018. Um, I'm sorry to hear that, Warren. I actually am sorry to hear that you spent jail time, but I'm glad that you shared it with us. Japan does have a workaholic culture for sure. I don't want to talk about my ex-wife. She was great until she wasn't anymore. There's no safety net in America. I don't want a job. This is my job. Titan Quest 2 is coming out, and I would really like to be making $1,000 or more a month on Patreon, so I can have a home and access to electricity, and I can start saving up for a PC to play it. I don't know what's stopping you from liking and subscribing, Jaden. You can hit that fucking notification bell if you want. I'm playing on my phone. I'm screencasting from my phone. Hey, I'm at the end. Don't tell me what I'm supposed to do. Yeah, Battlefield 6 is looking like the Neebs guys are gonna be playing the fuck out of it. Thank you, Tristan. I don't have pictures of my ex-wife. I don't even know her last name anymore. I'm sure that she's gotten remarried. It's been fucking 10 years. She's just a joke at this point. She's the punchline of a joke as old as marriage. I live in a tent because of another woman. Well, Tristan, you don't have to wait to help, but I hear what you're saying. What you mean is you're going to give me advice on what products to buy. Kicked me out isn't what she did. I don't really want to talk about it again, Lawrence. I've already talked about it on this stream. You can watch the whole thing from the beginning. It's been 66 minutes. The people who are have been here and have heard it don't want to hear it again. I choose to continue living in a tent. It's been about 10 months. I am working, Warren. I see what you want. Yeah, for sure, Tristan. My plan, and this is where I go. My plan is that everybody that subs to me at 50 or above is getting a computer, and we're all going to play. We're all going to play Schedule 1 together. It's starting to actually get warm enough that I need to take my hoodie off and turn my fan on. Yes, Lawrence. I hear what you're saying, Tristan. That's very generous, and I'm not telling you no. You've already subbed to the channel, so what I meant by you don't have to wait is not that you have to send me free shit, but that right now I need to get to 1,000 subs so I can get monetization and I can turn on super likes. You understand? So you are helping right now. It's going great, Aguado. Is that Aguado or Aguado? Is the G silent? Thank you, Warren. When I got on today, I was at 305. If Tristan and Warren and the other person that said they subbed actually did, that's 108. I'm sorry, 308. I appreciate that, Tristan. I really do appreciate that. I am a cynic and a stoic, right? And I have been pushing my emotions down into a fine jelly for 2 decades for 3 decades because of grueling childhood abuse. So I don't seem like I'm emoting, but on the inside, I'm hoping that you follow through. Oh, hey, Big League. I recommend you. I not recommend you. I remember you. G isn't silent. Aguado. Cool name. Is it like Watto? Is it like water? Is it supposed to be like agua dough? Don't be sorry about it, man. You didn't do it, unless you did do it. If you're my dad, we need to talk. Thank you, William. You excited about the black and silver this year? Is that what you guys call yourself? I hate the Raiders. No offense. Are you excited about Tom Brady and what's his name? I haven't thought about football in months. I'm so psyched about next month. Thanks for being here. I plan to be doing a series called Philosophy for the Football Fan, where I just talk about football. I plan to my the when people ask me, did she kick you out? Sort of. She evicted me, but she's still paying for my phone. So the reason that I can do this is because she's still paying for it. She was supposed to be a Patreon. She was supposed to be my primary patron to my philosophical and literary work. And so she's still paying for my phone. So God bless her and thank her for it. And she's still paying for my subscription to NFL Plus. Uh, And God bless her and thank her for it. So I plan to watch games on Sunday and Monday and throughout the week and take notes and talk about it. Hey, that's Jackson, Washington, right? I don't know my state abbreviations as well as I should. I did not give a fuck in grade school. Go Niners for sure. This is good. This should be the one, right? I plan to do interviews, Slim. I'm trying to do dialectic and interviews with you guys the best I can. And then the goal with this channel isn't to get me out of homelessness. The goal out of this channel is to get you guys working, get you guys on this, doing this, and then once you have 50 subs, you can come live with me and we can just talk, or you can talk my fucking ear off about whatever while I game. That's what I'm looking for. Spytech, GM, and Coach Carroll. That's the name I was looking for. Thank you, Carroll. You're stoked. I love it. I love how excited the Raiders fans are for real. I hate the fucking team, but I think Gino will do well. I think you're gonna have a very good season, and so I need to get over my hatred because I used to fucking hate the Cowboys too, and I got over that after a while. You do concrete. That's cool, Warren. I can't do physical labor anymore because I have maybe the worst possible um, herniated pelvic floor. So I shouldn't be walking, but I am. And I shouldn't be singing, but I do. And I definitely should not be lifting 20 pounds or more because I will shit out my intestines. Well, there's always something to learn. And the sports guys, if you want to talk about grindology, like I was talking with, I believe it, I love that you love concrete. That's awesome. Bo Jackson, my dad used to never shut the fuck up about Bo Jackson. That's how young I am. I'm 38. I never saw him play, but my dad used to never shut the fuck up. But I think it was Warren and I were talking about grindology, or the grind view, right? Instead of having a world view, you have a grind view where you just look at the grind and you put your nose to it and you go at it. When I growing up, I used to work CNC machines and literally grinders. My dad and I used to fit tubes that were about this big around, and if you don't know how big my hands are, that's about I don't know, a 4-inch diameter. We used to take these fucking 4-inch diameter steel tubes, maybe 50 feet long, when I was in 7th and 8th grade. And we used to feed those things through wheel grinders, these great big fucking stone wheels. They were probably 3 feet in diameter, maybe 2 inches thick. We used to feed those fucking things through them all day. So you want to talk, that's a fucking heavy tube. You're fucking right, it was a heavy tube. And we used to do that all fucking day. All fucking day. He worked for a company that processed and refined the steel and aluminum and other. He also manufactured, I never got to work in it, but he also CNC milled tungsten for NASCAR. So I got to meet a bunch of NASCAR guys in 7th grade. But back pain is the worst. And let me tell you, pelvis pain is the worst. Don't herniate your penis. Just don't do it. It sucks. I hear you, Orophile. All of the different countries are diverse, but within each country, they do have one identity. They have more now, but they don't have as many imports. It's hard to get people to live on the Arctic Circle. Yeah, those countries, people are leaving, and the white people aren't fucking heterosexually. So all of the Western countries there have they're not fucking heterosexually because of 2005. Hey, I'm looking forward to that, Will. I need, if you don't mind me calling you Will, I need somebody to talk football with. All of my friends are fucking nerds and think I'm an asshole for loving football. So anyway, if we're talking about grind view or grindology, just follow football dudes, man. The work to be Tom Brady. I grew up with Tom Brady's career. Gay marriage, Lawrence. I was trying to be subtle. Um, I grew up with Tom Brady's career as a Dolphins fan. So you can either learn to love Bill Belichick and Tom Brady for what they're doing to you every season, or you can just have no life. And you can lose all of your relationships and jobs because every fucking time Miami plays in New England, you have a bad week. I'm not joking. It really bothered me that bad. So if you want to talk about like just learning how to get through adversity, being an NFL fan can teach you a lot. Decided to be gay, no. but there was a lot of social pressure to be gay. Every woman that I've ever had sex with tells me that I should be transsexual. Every single woman I've ever had sex with. 37 women. I don't know who Edward Grieg is, but I'm glad to hear that you like his music. I'm not joking, Slim. No. I love Nordic music. Do you know, Leprous is one of my favorite bands right now. Tom's the real deal. Tom's the real deal. I really thought that he was going to flame out in Tampa. I'm glad you think it's funny. I'm not trying to be offensive. I'm not trying to hurt anybody's feelings. And so if it's funny, that means that we're communicating in a way that nobody's injured. I'm not going to read that out loud, Lawrence, but there's a certain amount of that I understand. That's why I can't watch the NBA. It's not about race. It's about I just can't relate to these people and I don't understand why I'm giving them money. I have very slim hips and I'm very tall, Slim. I'm 6'3" and I've never been over 215. I used to commuter bicycle, and I used to be the only male in a gas station, so I used to have a very, very nice torso. When girls on TikTok talk about like the kind of hips and pelvis they want a guy to have to just spend time with their face down there, I used to look like that. Yeah, it's about the overcommitting emotionally, Slim. It's about the overcommitting emotionally. I overcommitted emotionally to the Dolphins. For sure. I had to break up with them. I had to divorce them. And I had to do it in public. I had to write a whole missive and everything and publish it. It was a whole thing for me. For sure. Still wore the hat. Wore the hat for years. It was the only fucking hat I owned. I hear you, Slim. I hear you. It really fucked my life up. Tua. Tua really fucked my life up. I had a lot invested in my fandom with Tannehill, and so when Tannehill went and found success with Tampa or with the Titans, and so like I don't want to say that the woman that I used to live with, my last ex-girlfriend, that she kicked me out or anything. I don't want to talk negative about her, even as terrible as that experience and abusive as that experience was, because I have this, or I used to have this Tennessee Titans hat that she bought me, and she used to call them the Tannehill Titans because I fucking loved every second of the offense that he ran with that team. The weather is fucking amazing, Will. I'm in Zanesville, Ohio, and it's only now starting to warm up. I've got my fan on in here. I don't know if you can see outside my tent. I could have pulled this down a while ago. But the weather is perfect. It's maybe 68 outside the tent, maybe 72. Yeah, maybe as warm as 72. I'm in a ravine, so it's a few degrees cooler and wetter down here. And then when it gets warm, it's going to get a few degrees cooler, or a few degrees warmer and wetter. But yeah, it's so fucking nice out there. And yeah, having a big hog also helps. Having a lot of experience helps. Women like experience. Women like it when you know what you're doing down there, so you don't hurt them. I can relate to NFL players because of the team mindset, because there are a lot of people who are working for effectively NFL minimum wage on those teams, and it's the players like Wes Welker, Danny Amendola. It's your punt returner, your punter, players like Pat McAfee. It's your third nickelback on the roster who wins Super Bowls. So it's relative. Yeah, see, like our guy Will here loving Max Crosby. It's because of the grind and because of the bullshit that he went through in high school and university to get to the NFL. A lot of these guys, they go through very real hardship. It's easy to do, Tristan, but it was your ex, not every woman. It's fucking bananas. We lost Hulk, Ozzy, and somebody else, all within a span of like 5 days. Boom, boom, boom. The threes thing is so real. Ozzy hit me harder than Hulk. I didn't grow up with Hulk. I only started learning about Hulk once his misconduct allegations started becoming public. So I have a different opinion of a different knowledge of who Hulk was. But his address at the Republican National Convention is why I showed up to vote this year. I don't bet ever, Lawrence. First of all, I don't make enough money to lose it, and second, I try very hard to limit the things that I can become addicted to. I've already got masturbation and weed and nicotine. I don't need gambling. The threes thing is real. I never believed it, but man, it's fucking crazy how real it is. Boom, 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 threes, boom, boom, boom. Staggeringly, within staggering proximity of one another. Well, Tristan, what I would say is that what you need to lay off, is your little pecker. Just leave it alone. Women are great. I'm glad to hear that, Will. That time, so like when I talk about, somebody asked me how I could do it, how I could even conceive of something like philosophy for the football fan. Um, those guys work so fucking hard. Those guys work so hard, and they influence so many people to go out and work so hard. Ozzy hit hard. Ozzy hit hard. I don't wanna act like that his music was a big part of my life. I only had maybe 3 or 4 songs of his that I even know. I'll skip the songs that aren't Mr. Crowley, um, Mama I'm Coming Home, you know the ones, Crazy Train. I'll skip them if I don't know them, right? But that's not about Ozzy. That's about, again, growing up with Ozzy on the MTV era. I love that you love Iron Maiden. I never got into it because I hate Bruce Dickinson's voice. Women are great. Women are great. Hey, if you've got a kid, if you've got a kid, sticking away from women is a good idea. You didn't say that. I don't know where bugs could live in my hair. I did pull a tick out from behind my ear the other day. That surprised me. I was glad that it was only recent. That's why Ozzy hit hard. Because we're definitely in the post generation now. We exist in the post metal. All those guys are done. Even Metallica are old, man. They're old. And the metal truthers don't want to believe it, but we're in the next. R.I.P. Ozzy. No bug eggs in here. It's clean in here. I don't keep open food containers in the tent. The Misfits, cool. I uh I never I grew up in a very different kind of home. So I didn't get to listen to that cool music, and I haven't revisited it yet. But I know that people really love that shit. Bands. That's correct, Lawrence. Bands are being phased out because they're too expensive. You're right. You're right. The arguments over songwriting credits and who gets the royalties have ruined music. Hey, it's okay that you couldn't care, Slim. We appreciate that you shared it. You're not telling anybody that they're bad for it. It just never touched you. There was so much pop culture in the 80s, and it was so accessible to everybody, that what resonated with you back then, man. So different. It's fake now. It's fake. Like polyphony, is that what they're called? People want to tell me that they're metal, and it's fake. It's not even music, in my opinion. There's no groove to it. It's just sounds. Yes, you can move your fingers very fast. But I don't like Dream Theater either. And for those in the chat that don't exactly know what he's responding to or what he's saying, Slim is saying that he's not trying to say that people who like Hulk suck. He's just saying it never touched him. Never reached into his life in a meaningful way. I don't hear music. I just don't. I sit in Panera all day and I listen to the music that these kids like, and I just don't hear music. Y'all Want a Single by Korn, yeah. I have never seen the music videos, but Korn's music videos got me through high school. I'm not gonna lie. Um, I'm the right age. I graduated in 2005, so like Freak on a Leash, whatever, all of those songs. I don't know their titles because I never gave a fuck. I just loved the way they sounded at the time. They were so different, so different. And now that I understand the technique of making music, Korn is trash. But man, it sounds cool, and that's what they were going for. And so we do. He's right to point Korn when we're talking about music not becoming music anymore. Korn is a lot of why, but Guar, Guar had a lot of that. Had a lot of an influence on that. Um, and then shoegaze. Shoegaze was about intentionally not trying to play technically. And so the 90s and the early 2000s were about they were about what punk was about, but punk was never trying punk was reacting to the technicality of bands like Iron Maiden. That's not right. The technicality of bands like Led Zeppelin and Black Sabbath. And then Iron Maiden was taking punk and then making it technical again. I love Gojira. Gojira are one of my top 10. I don't listen to their new stuff since Magma, um, but the French Olympics were the cool. The the Mea Culpa, Mea Culpa at the French Olympics was the coolest thing ever. That was all I watched of the Olympics too. I tuned in. I was like, Gojira's in the Olympics? Fuck yeah! Watch that and then turn that shit right the fuck off. I wouldn't know if I would use that word, Lawrence, but that's the word they used. So I'm not going to tell you that you're wrong because you might be old enough to remember and be using the proper nomenclature. I'm not going to use it because young people won't know, but that was the proper nomenclature among the punk crowd at the time. Oh no, I listen to it. I listen to it. What I mean to say is, I don't turn it on purpose. When it comes on, I listen to it. It's all very good. But it's all very festival. It's oriented toward festivals because that's where the money's at right now, especially for bands. And I just don't have that kind of money. STP were awesome. Um, Scott Weiland is one of my heroes, which is not something that one should say, but like Elliott Smith is one of my heroes, and so the frontman slash singer songwriter slash vocal prodigy slash suicide, or maybe come suicide, um, is one of the things that I was fascinated with when I was a young person. And I've never gotten into the Beatles because I think that I like George Harrison the best. I've been watching his interviews lately, and I think I actually really like George Harrison a lot. GNR were cool. Their music is good, but they're another one of those bands that I can't listen to because of the actual lived experiences of guys like Axl Rose. I always wanted to be a musician. I always wanted to get out, obviously. I wanted to get out in front of people and perform. So I thought I was going to get into metal. And so a lot of these guys I don't listen to their lyrics or I don't follow their careers because I don't want to accidentally emulate them. Folk punk did get big. Yeah. Lots of heroin. Cool music. Lots of heroin. For sure. And that's what I'm talking about. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Certain of these guys like Scott Weiland or Chris Cornell, Elliott Smith, the heroin, negatively affecting the music. Jimi Hendrix with the alcohol negatively impacting the music, acid negatively impacting the technicality of the play. Like these things are things that I'm conscientious of. I'm not saying you need to be. It just affects my ability to listen. Lane Staley for sure. Yeah. So I've only been listening to Lane Staley and Chris Cornell specifically within the last year since I became homeless. Specifically, I avoided their music because I didn't want to accidentally recreate their mistakes. Specifically, accidentally. My mother used to say that you can only think in terms of what you've heard, and so I am pathological about what I take in because I don't want to accidentally be thinking about things that I didn't realize where they came from. We were kind of talking about that when we were talking about religion earlier, so it's an abstraction that builds up on top of itself that I've been doing for years. For sure, punk is not my jam. Metallica is about as close to punk as I get. Um, uh, but I think it's cool that you're sharing music with the chat. I think that's cool, Tristan. Keep it up. I am very unlikely to follow up on it, but that's cool that you're doing that. I approve. If you need my approval, and you might, because I can be very bossy. My back is starting to hurt. Move my little stadium seat forward a little bit so I can rest on it. I absolutely think you can absorb dangerous energy from music. Absolutely. So I'm very careful with the black metal and the death metal that I bring into my life. So even even Meshuggah. Meshuggah's a band that I listen to frequently. Listen, Ed. You couldn't hear the aid. Listened. I used to listen to a lot of Meshuggah. It's a tent, Pika. I hear you, Will. Um, Maybe we can build the kind of relationship in the future where you guys get used enough to me that you can send me like Panera gift cards or something, or you can order something takeout for Vincent. They know who I am. We don't need to be there today. I've still got $6, and I've got granola bars that I could be eating, and a bag of chips. I've got about 800 calories on hand right now, so we're good. I just say it the way I do because sometimes there's no, it's not a very high ceiling. I am laying almost entirely prone. Uh okay, we got to slow down a little bit. We got to slow down a little bit. Thank you for your concern, Will. Let's I would prefer I would prefer to cultivate the relationship before I worry about eating on your dime personally. I say it to be provocative when I have a lot of people in the chat so that the people who are going to say something negative just get it out of the way and move on with their lives, rather than when we're talking about my tent or the music that I would recommend. Okay, so this tent is only about 3 feet tall. It's like maybe 3.5 feet tall. I am 6'2". I hear you, Will. I'm not telling you no. You just need to understand that people tell me that I don't know how to do humility. They'll tell me in the chat that Americans or that I don't know how to do humility. And so if it's true that Americans don't know how to do humility, I'm doing my very best to be more than what humility actually is, so that the bar is set so high that they can settle somewhere around true humility. And so if I'm telling you, don't help me, I don't need it, I absolutely need it tomorrow. You see what I'm saying? I'm enjoying making your acquaintance now more than I am greedy for that dollar. I don't know that I ever have been in a bounce house. My parents didn't love me, and I mean that. Okay, Lawrence asks a good question. Music that would improve your life. He means general you, not my life. So the music that I listen to is entirely dependent on my state of mind and my emotional state. But I listen to a lot of metal. So I listen to a lot of Metallica because his lyrics are uplifting even when they're sad. I listen to a lot of Leprous because the lyrics are uplifting even when they're sad. Gojira, uplifting even when they're upsetting. Hopeful even when they're apocalyptic. I like Tool. I listen to a lot of Megadeth, believe it or not. I think that Megadeth puts me in a really good mood. The song Ashes in Your Mouth yesterday had me laughing out loud in the middle of the Panera as I was walking to get my drink, in a way that even the kitchen was like, oh, he's lost his mind. And the kitchen has seen me every day for 10 months. And some of them talk to me. Um, I used to listen to a lot of Blue October. I used to listen to a lot of Elliott Smith. A lot of Elliott Smith. Um, who else do I listen to? I've been listening lately to a lot of Supertramp. Um, the Logical Song and Breakfast in America are great fucking songs. Um, Sometimes I like to just listen to instrumentals. So, like, if you're familiar with Angel Vivaldi, his instrumental pieces are incredible. I love guitar work more than pianos. Um, who else? Mastodon always puts me in a good mood. I listened to Kylesa every day for about 3 months. Green Day was fun. Peekaboo, my parents didn't love me. Easy E, that's cool. I I uh, I haven't visited either of those groups. Old school rap was a different entity than modern rap, and so I talk a lot of shit about modern rap to try to get them to raise the bar back up. It's getting warm in here. I'm gonna have to put my pants on and get the hell out of here. Maybe just sit outside the tent, but I am gonna have to put my pants on, which is a whole thing. It's a whole. I was hoping that the day wouldn't get warm. What I'm trying to tell all of you into the future and all of you that are here with me now, that if you tip because I touched your life in some way and you want to reward me like you would reward a server for a particularly well-made drink, I worked table service for so fucking long that um, that particular reward loop is extremely satisfying to me. Um, but I'm not desperate. I have 2 Patreon subscribers. I make $88 a month. All right, so I do have a payout coming in 5 days or whatever today is, maybe 4 days. No, I don't like rap. It's hard for me to consider rap music, especially modern rap. Eminem is fine. There are songs from when I was in high school that I'm aware of. That song, um, I usually go live around now, and then I'll go live when my battery is at 37%. So when I'll go for about another 20, maybe 30, 40 minutes, whatever, until my battery is unsustainable or I start to get anxious about it. And then I'll go up to Panera where they have a $15 a month sip club that I am plugging for them. They are not a subscribe. They are not what's it called? Sponsor. They are not a sponsor, but they're $15 a month. $15 a month. Sip Club gives you free drink every 2 hours. And so what that does is it's bought me a place to hang out. I hung out all winter there. I avoided the cold in Panera. They never harassed me once because I didn't start making money where I could eat there until after January. They didn't say a word. They gave me my cup and they weren't nice about it until I started bitching about it on here. And then now they're cool. They're nice to me. I'm in Ohio. Um, $15 a month. Sometimes strangers leave me gift cards, usually of the $10 variety. Um, I made a fairly large. I have made one time, I got multiple donations on one day, and one day, sometime around March or April, I don't remember which. I made $250 in a day, and with that $250, I bought myself a $50 um, Panera gift card, and that has like $10 left on it, and I think I've got another $10 gift card that somebody left me um, in the store, so I'm anticipating that I'll get another one within the next couple of weeks to keep my sip club going. Gotta, okay, reposition that for a second. So I hang out there, I stay hydrated, I have access to caffeine, and my Patreon subscriber, Mr. S, bought me a microphone. He bought me a wireless mic, and then last night I lost the fob. So I lost the dongle part attachment to my phone. The receiver is what that is. It's, hopefully, we're going to spin you around because my phone just fell off the tripod. Hopefully I'm going to find that when I get in there this morning, that will still be there, and I won't need another $25 for that, but he feeds me. Mr. S makes sure that I eat. And then what I'm trying to say is that I'm not in an emergent situation. It's not an emergency. But I do have debt that I use to pay for this tent that I'm trying to pay off. I've never had a driver's license, Lawrence, so unlikely. I've done jail time twice for driving without my license, and something that you may or may not know about American police is that they're extremely capricious of the poor white. Extremely, extremely prejudicial, vengeful, and capricious of poor whites. A large part of why they leave me alone is because I told one of them that if he put his hands on me again, it would be the last thing that he or I ever did. Because one of us wasn't walking out of that McDonald's if he touched me again. You shouldn't trust cops. Their job is to put you in prison. Yes, living in your car is increasingly normal. Most of the people who are coming through my channel and talking about how I'm a dirty scumbag poor live in their car. I watched a woman, I was going to talk about how beautiful it was, and maybe she doesn't want me to say it, but I watched a woman bring her kids on Saturday up to the parking lot here outside nearby where I live after everything had closed so they could run around and play. And they obviously lived out of that van. But when she saw me walking up to the Taco Bell, it was after 10 o'clock, when she saw me walking up to the Taco Bell, she pretended like she wasn't concerned about me, but she wasn't waiting around for me to return. And good on her. She can't know whether I'm a junkie, whether I'm a danger to her and her kids or not. And I was watching because I'm a romantic and an idiot, and it just makes me happy to see kids happy. And so these kids don't know they're homeless. It doesn't need to be about better or worse, Orophile. That hierarchy of goods is why we're here. It's why there are apartments. That's why there are people who are allowed to own more, that are just allowed to lease land from the government than other people, is because of hierarchies of goods where people say, well, this is better than that, and this is better than that, and this is more necessary than that, and this is more necessary than that, and so the minimum that you need is this. Well, that's why we have things like minimum wages. We don't have minimum wages to make sure that corporations pay more than that. We have minimum wages because if we didn't have them, the corporations would pay less than that. And wouldn't even think about it is the point. It wouldn't even cross their minds to pay less than that. I appreciate and accept your apology, Lawrence. Yeah, there hasn't been a middle class for decades, buddy. I told you I grew up in CNC machining. My grandfather worked for Parker Hannifin. My grandfather's job after he retired from Parker Hannifin was to send all of the machines in North Carolina that Parker Hannifin owned over to China, and then to train Chinese people who could speak no English to work those machines without a wage. That was what my father did with his retirement. My grandfather. So my father's father did with his retirement. So people ask me, why don't you have a job? Grandfather gave it to some Chinese guy. That's why I don't have a job. Yeah, everybody's just making ends meet. That's why I'm telling you guys, there's no pressure to feed me. 50 cents. Look, like if we did the math, right? So I've probably seen 500 people today, and if all 500 of you gave me 1 penny, that's $5. I don't think people really understand how quickly microtransactions add up. In fact, we could probably hypothesize that 98% of people don't understand how quickly microtransactions add up, because we all participate in the microtransaction economy in mobile gaming, or somewhere. We all participate in a microtransaction economy somewhere, where we're paying pennies or single dollars for something with no actual value or benefit to us. My spot is awesome. I was very careful in where I chose. I'm trying to tie you to my knee. I was very careful. It's beautiful here. Let's see. Less beautiful right directly in front of my tent where the ground is dirty, but I can't really pivot my phone in its tripod. But yeah, it's nice. It's beautiful. It's even better if I were to climb up in that hill, but there's a lot of poison ivy and tall weeds in there, and I'm not trying to invite ticks. In fact, I need to put my hat on now that I'm outside. Yeah, it's beautiful here. It's so relaxing. And so this is what I've decided to do with my retirement. I came to a point in my life where my options were suicide or complete surrender to helplessness to the government of the United States of America during an election year. And I said, well, I'm not doing either of those things. So here we are. Yeah, my people are Nordic. My last name is Dutch. Well, my mother's maiden names are Dutch. Maiden names. Her father and her mother's maiden names are both Dutch. And my dad's dad is a redhead, and my brother is a redhead, and the red hair comes from the Scandinavians. You might associate it with Scotland and Ireland, but the Scots and Irish that have red hair got it from the Vikings. Yeah, something is going to give, William, and so what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to encourage people to understand how to pool their resources, because we're going to come a time where we're the 1960s African Americans, where everybody is the 1960s African Americans, where if we don't pool our resources, we are literally going to be pushed off the land by the government. Literally, it's happening. Yes, union is one of the ways. Unionization is one of the ways. Um, my generation running for elections and having good ideas is another way. It's already happening here in Zanesville. The government of Zanesville is already forcing people into homelessness so they can sell their homes to government or to corporations to turn into parking lots. That's the gentrification that we are experiencing this decade. That's the Democrats shifted to that under Biden, and nobody talked about it. And because nobody will talk about it, they're going uncontested. They're going after their own, because their own have been a leech on their teat for decades. Bitcoin is a dead end. When our current privatized economy collapses and there are no longer private electricity, there's no longer private electricity being generated and sold, those computers are going to turn off and your Bitcoin is going to be valueless. Yeah. Yeah. Will, I almost called you Bill. I don't know why more people don't think that I live in this tent because I'm anticipating the coming economic collapse. I really don't know how I don't get more of those questions, more of those accusations. Like, I don't know why people don't think I'm out here because I think the apocalypse is impending. It's weird to me. That's part of why I'm still doing it in the way that I'm doing it, is because it's weird to me that so few people rather, um, have the interpretations of what I'm doing that I anticipated.
Not all of us, bud. The only way that I will be screwed is I will no longer be able to communicate with my Patreon subscribers, but I've been prepared to steal for months. So I won't be screwed when the power goes out, Lawrence. I'm not sure who you're asking, Blockburner. It's weird to me when you guys communicate to one another without using the at. I'm not sure what you're saying or why. The same way everybody will, Lawrence. Tenuously. Well, I'm not trying to. What was that movie in the '80s that they tried to remake with one of the Hemsworths, Red Dawn? I'm not trying to say that there's going to be a Red Dawn situation. I'm most certainly not a paranoiac. I actually don't think about the coming end, and I am trying to sustain an income so I can move back into civilization, to play video games. So I'm obviously not out here because I think that the end is coming, but also the end is coming. So like, right? Russia and the US have been too big to fail for decades, since the 50s. So no hot war is coming. But do I think that the Democrats are stupid enough to put a hawk against what's his name? Vance Joseph? That's not right. Vance Joseph is a coach. JD Vance. I could see that happening. I could absolutely see the Democrats putting a war hawk up against JD Vance. I see what's going on. Thank you for summing that up for us, Lawrence. That I think is true, Warren. I do think that a readjustment is coming. And some cataclysm. They'll call it a cataclysm in 100 years. It might not feel cataclysmic to us, but if you talk to kids who are 20 years old and younger, they already feel like they're in the post cataclysm. They already feel like civilization is dead. All these things that we're talking about aren't maybes to them. That's why they sell their body with very, very little more remorse. No, the power grid very likely isn't going out. But if Bitcoin is no more valuable than paper money in a cataclysm situation, is what I'm saying. In a cataclysm situation, value is going to go back to the personal. So you pay what a thing is valued to you, instead of having to make an insane upside down and inside out psychological decision based on your best needs, like our modern economic philosophy. Maybe will, maybe not. I don't know. It feels like it. It feels like it. It feels like few enough people understand what it is that it's just going to stop working at some point. The relationship between cost and value, like why gasoline can cost what it costs, but bottled water costs what it costs, but Taco Bell somehow it costs $1.69 to get a taco. But if I want a taco, the exact same taco, but it has taco strips, a burrito, and cheese wrapped around the taco, it's $1.89. How is that only 20 more cents? Like that relationship between cost and and receipt basically is going to come to a head at some point. It's not all tax. It's not all tax. Most of it is shipping costs. Most of it's shipping costs. It's been escalating shipping costs since the 80s. I know this because my grandfather's job in retirement, remember, was to send all of the manufacturing that Parker Hannifin was doing in North Carolina to Ohio. So for the decades before that, his job was to make sure that Parker Hannifin wasn't getting ripped off in transportation costs, moving things around in China. Sure, sure, but tax is irrespective of cost because high taxes actually drive costs down. High taxes actually drive the high taxes drive the overhead down for the business. No, I don't think my grandfather feels like a traitor. I think my grandfather's too fucking stupid to realize what he did, because he spent the entire Obama administration bitching about how we need to bring jobs back from China. This is what I'm talking about when I'm talking about people not understanding their money. The relationship between percentage tax and like housing costs, for instance, is inverse. It's not the relationship you think of. Yeah. Like a lot of the reason that people think Florida is a shithole is because it doesn't have a state or a sales tax, and it's super fucking expensive to live in Florida because the government doesn't subsidize anything because it doesn't have any money. Not just due to cheap labor, but they have a huge amount of coastline. Orifile says that China's manufacturing hub, though, due to cheap labor, it's not just the cheap labor. They have a huge amount of coastline and a huge amount of flat land that they're not using for farms. I prefer cigarettes, Will, but people in public don't like the smell. And they're more expensive. Holy shit, they're more expensive per puff. Holy fuck, they're more. Cigarettes are so much more expensive. It's 13, maybe as much as $20 for 2 packs of cigarettes, and that's only 40 puff. Like that's 40 cigarettes. And sometimes I get tired of a cigarette halfway through, and I'm not lighting that fucking thing again. That's the nastiest thing in the world. Berry frost. I love ice. The ice menthol and vape. I wish somebody made an ice cinnamon. That would be my shit. I like the harsher flavors. Yeah, that east coast of China, they have a huge coastline. Zens, I thought about that for years, but I like the smoking. Yeah, huge amount of coastline. So it's not just that they have all this manufacturing power. It's that before that they had all this warehouse power. That's why I'm talking about shipping. Do you guys remember? It was 2 or 3 years ago now when the that shipping crisis with China, where everything was stalled. They've been threatening that for decades, since the 80s. That's why they own. That's why they have so much bought up in American land and invested in the dollar, and that's why the dollar is unlikely to fail because China needs the dollar. Um, China's economy actually owns most of the world economy. It backs most of the world economy. China and Germany. And I've been saying for decades, we're really going to let this happen again. We're really going to let China and Germany dominate the world economy again. Okay, 1890, let's do this. But Europe has been insisting that it's 1889 for decades. So, what do I know about anything? Fire Ice Raz Muta, I see you, I hear you, and I'm not regarding you. Is that Raz the brand RAZ? They're the one that have the plastic mouth tips though, right? They don't have the silicone mouth tips. Am I wrong about that? Have they updated their tips? I didn't like the one Raz I bought because I chew on the mouthpieces. I used to smoke a pipe. Let me tell you, that's an expensive habit. Chewing on the stems of pipes is an expensive fucking habit. Because of course, like the Dr. Grabo, the affordable pipes, yeah, plastic. Those hurt my teeth. Um, the Dr. Grabo, the affordable brand, doesn't sell their mouthpieces. They don't sell the stems. Of course they don't. Why wouldn't you sell the stem? The reason? Because they're not a microtransaction economy. Smokeless tobacco? Yeah, the little pouches, the spitless little pouches. See, for me, it's not about the nicotine. It's about the act of smoking. It's an appetite suppressant. Yeah. I don't like the high of nicotine. I don't like being dizzy and nauseous. Which is why I don't drink, for the record. Not a functional alcoholic. You're not seeing a guy who's shaken because he's got yeah, it's supposed to. It's supposed to be a stimulant. I don't know if it stimulates me. It helps me concentrate, like when I'm uh, reading or playing a game, or talking like this. It helps me concentrate for sure. But that might just be the addiction. But I'd probably be chewing on my fingernails this right now, playing with my fingernails. I'm an anxious kind of person, and so the smoking helps. When I'm like, I'm anxious, it's like just take a little hit, take a little puff, whatever. I worked service and retail for so long, 15 years, that on an 8-hour or sometimes 16-hour shifts. I worked shifts like that. You step outside, the only relaxation you get all day is the 2 minutes that you can steal on that cigarette while you're sweeping cigarette butts out of the parking lot. So it's probably just that. It's probably the memory of, oh, this used to be how I dealt with my stress when I had real stress. Yes, men should acknowledge one another. Hello, Bravo. Food service is rough. It's hard. Um, I got into leadership and management and food service early, so I could be the high energy guy that kept the team together. So like people were asking me like, where's the philosophy in football, and why do I relate more to football than the NBA, even though they're all millionaires? The money at the lowest ends of football is part of it, but it's the team, keeping the team together, especially like you're on a you're week 16, your team is 2 and what is it now, 13, and you got another week, you got 2 more weeks to go. How do you not pull a Tyreek Hill and just walk out on your team? Food service is going to be replaced with robots very soon. Very soon. They're trying their hardest to replace food service with robots. Taco Bell doesn't even have a front of house anymore. It takes you 15 minutes to pay. It'll take you 15 minutes to pay in cash at a Taco Bell. No. They don't even have somebody working the front of house. They don't even train how to work front of house anymore. Panera's the same way. They don't even train how to work front of house. These kids don't even know to say hello when they first see you. They just wait for you to start ordering. Yeah, we talked about that a little bit. Yeah. Will, what everything Max Crosby went through is aspirational to me. You got to learn to operate the robots. Everybody is a CNC operator now. That's correct. That is correct. I grew up in CNC machining, so that the one-to-one relationship there to me is obvious. It's coming, Lawrence. That's coming. That's next month. Like, it's right around the... My whole life, they've been saying, oh, we're 10 years away from 10 years away. And then they started, oh, well, we're 5 years away from 5 years away. And then they were like, oh, well, it's here now. So it's coming. The robots thing is real. The kiosks at Wendy's and Taco Bell are significantly easier to use. And if you actually want to get your food in a reasonable amount of time, you really want to order it on the app in Panera. Yeah, AI is going to take out cashiers very soon because an AI will always greet you with a hello every time. I was listening to this musician who thinks I was reading rather an interview last night with this musician who thinks he's a genius. That Pac, Paac, that guy that made that record with that I was talking about yesterday, actually, with Bruno Mars, the Cuck, um, and he was talking about how he's a super genius and he taught an AI to feel emotion, and it's like, nope, a language learning model convinced you that you're smart. Good job. Yeah, driving jobs need to be extinct. Need to be. Human beings need to be out from behind heavy machinery as soon as possible. Music, not music, go away, turtle. Um, Operating a vehicle is the most dangerous thing you can do in your day. Thank you, Galaxy. Those don't mean anything to me if they don't come with a Cash App notification. I hope you know that. Christians should know better. The most dangerous thing you can do is be around a person operating a motor vehicle. Believe me, as a pedestrian. I slap the hoods of cars for people that don't look to their right when they're making a right turn to make sure there's no pedestrian in the street. Every single time I walk up and down Maple Avenue. I almost got hit by the fucking postman the other day. It's the productivity, yeah, sort of, but the productivity as a whole, that goes back to fucking Adam Smith and the Wealth of Nations and GDP. Like, people don't understand that countries are still measuring their productivity, gross domestic product, and so robots are important for that. Humans get in the way. Humans do stupid shit like driving their fork truck into a tower of tens of thousands of dollars of stacked steel parts, knocking them all over and ruining all of it. Yeah, well, UPS has been threatening strike since the 70s, since people started going postal. That's a for-profit business that the government runs. And so they treat those people with utter disdain. If you've not watched that documentary, Postal, you should. It's probably 10 or 15 years old now. The UBI is not coming. If it comes, it's going to have to be enforced at the point of a gun. It's just not coming. I hear you, Lawrence. I don't mean to shut you down, because you're right about everything. You're right. You're right about everything you're saying. I should have just read what you said. He said they say UBI is coming, but I think it's not going to be any fun living on that. I shouldn't have immediately contradicted you. Everything you said was true. Yeah. Amazon driving is hard work. The last time that I was in severe poverty and flirting with homelessness, at the time I was only flirting with homelessness, I lived about a half hour away from Etna, where the Amazon warehouse is, and everybody was like, oh, you own a car. I didn't have a license. You should just drive to Etna, half an hour away, for that job. And I'm like, yep, that's a half an hour every single day that I'm putting myself at risk of going to jail. And I suffer from auto hypnosis. Yeah. I'll wake up about to rear end somebody. I rear ended two people at yellow lights because they decided to stop when it was yellow. They're not paid enough. And the way that your contract works with these driving companies is that you're not paid for your overtime. You agree to not be paid for overtime because they tell you in your interview when you're signing the paper that you won't ever be asked. And then your first shift is for 60 hours. And then it turns into 90. And then it's 100. And you're not paid for any of it. And then they start wanting to cheat you out of gas money, make you spend your money on gas. And they're allowed to because you signed the contract. There's more philosophy from the football fan, and it causes terrible crashes. Absolutely. Terrible accidents. That's why I say that especially freight hauling needs to be robots, A, S, A, and P, because those people are fucking dangerous and criminals. Yeah, it's hard to say whether it's corrupt. I hear you, Will. I hear you. But like, if we want to talk about like Micah Parsons right now and his contract negotiation with the Cowboys, right? That big news that just came out yesterday where he's demanding a trade, right? It's like, well, or like the Bengals right now. I should be talking about the Bengals with Hendrickson, or the rookie that they have all this language in the contract that he doesn't want to sign. Um, yes, I'm a little dark. I'm a cynic. We're telling the truth. We're talking about the truth. Um, it's contract language. If the employer wants to make that language in their contract, you don't have to work for that employer. But that employer is going to do everything they can to make sure that you don't work for anybody else. It's about precedent. It's about legal precedent. So is it corrupt? It's bent for sure. It's iniquitous for sure. But yeah, the world is dark. That's why I'm sitting out in nature. Burrow is an awesome quarterback. That's why I'm wearing this hat. Burrow and Chase are my two favorite players in the NFL. I decided after I broke up with the Dolphins that I was going to be a fan of players. And so in those drafts, I chose Burrow over Tua and Chase for moving into the future. And they both became Bengals. So subsequent year after the Super Bowl, you know, I'll have that memory. I'll never have a Super Bowl loss memory with the Dolphins. I'll at least have that for the 1 year I was like, I am all the way on board with the Bengals, and they lose the Super Bowl. Yeah, they cut money out of your payments. Yeah, but see, you don't understand. Like, so do service jobs. Like, if your wallet is short and you're working a service job, your manager will pressure you to take the money that you're short, to take it out of your tips so that the company's not short. But that's illegal. Fight it. Get the labor department to get involved. I had a boss when I worked at Sonic in North Carolina and Asheville. That Sonic is no longer open, but I had a boss that wanted us to do that every night. He was all the time doing stuff like that. Like, he would have people clock off so that the labor didn't show, and then he would have them continue car hopping off the clock. And it's like, you call the Department of Labor, like, this has got to stop, and they're like, prove it. And it's like, I have all this proof. And they're like, yeah, but that's for other people. We can't investigate for other people. And it's like, I'm his assistant manager. I'm the person under him. I am responsible for these people. And you won't help? No, we won't help. All right, fuck you. That's what happened. That happened to me in 2012. And so I was saying, like, that's why I worked those shitty jobs. I didn't want the money. I wanted to make sure that I was making the environment as good as possible for those people. I had the skill set to make the environment awesome to work in, so I did best for 15 years. And I'm just too tired and too injured, and Ohio just sucks too much. You don't understand what I went through living in Columbus for 5 years. I don't understand why people are the way they are. Like, they take the time. It sucked. Columbus sucks. Columbus, Ohio sucks. Ungrateful, rude. I got called racial epithets when I worked for a dollar. No, I worked for a Family Dollar during COVID, and I was called racial epithets by everybody that came through there every single day, especially the black people. Yeah, for sure. Shipping is better, for sure. Orophile says that it's better than working for Uber, for sure. This, Lawrence, um, or a studio apartment with a PC and a decent TV and a PlayStation. You're in Wilmington. That's where the Neebs guys live. Yeah, Wilmington's gotten rough. It's gentrified. It's gotten rich. I heard that Asheville's impossible to live in now. Too much wealth. Too much new wealth. 10K up front. No, it's not. Yeah, I have a hard time. So the Neebs gaming is my very favorite thing in the whole world, and I've been having a real hard time with their podcasts lately, because when they talk about their lives, they're rich. They took gaming from working day jobs to being very wealthy, and so they have different opinions about what living in Wilmington is like from someone like what I would have. No, 10K doesn't go very far anymore. My day's been awesome, Mama Bear. Thank you. Nice to hear that my voice is reaching Scotland. You know how Americans are. We all have ancestry somewhere in Ireland or Scotland. We're all Scotch Irish somewhere. I was talking about it earlier that my granddad and my brother are both fiery redheads. I don't identify as Scots or Irish though. I believe that. I believe that Wilmington is bumper to bumper traffic. I believe it. I've never been to Wilmington, but I grew up in Charlotte until middle school, and then I lived in Mooresville for middle school, and then we moved to Ohio. But I moved back to Asheville, and I lived there for several years, whatever, between 2008 and 2015, so 7 years, and I've heard it's just a fucking nightmare. Hello, Domino's. I'm glad to hear that you're going to get breakfast. The Jacobites are the true healers. I don't know about that. That sucks. And see, that's why I walk. If it's gonna take me, if it's gonna take me 45 minutes, and all I'm gonna be doing is pissed off and listening to an audiobook or listening to music anyway, I may as well get my fucking steps in. Yes, you were. France too. Scots were distributed across the colonies and the continent, for sure. For sure. Well, there's a reason that this youngest generation of kids uses Ohio. They say the word Ohio when we mean sucks. No, I will not be setting up a Bitcoin wallet. But I think that CashApp, every time I make a purchase, puts some amount of my money into hey, who day, put some amount of my money into a Bitcoin wallet. Yeah, I I hear you. Will walking, man, driving is such a fucking nightmare. And then I auto hypnotize. So I've said this to you before. Thank you, 81 Deuce. I plan to be, as the football season ramps up, I plan to be embracing my Bengals fandom as as unembarrassedly as I can, and where I plan to be talking about football a lot this season. I have everything I need. I plan to. So thank you. It's great to make your acquaintance. I hear you. I hear you, Will. Look, only one team is going to win. And so who we know who those teams aren't, I choose to just root for everybody for now. Well, if you grew up around college football, I can absolutely understand not liking the NFL or not feeling the appeal. Hey, this isn't a sport. This isn't a sports channel, Lawrence. This is a. It's just a. It's really just about me. It's about telling shaggy dog stories and speaking the truth and trying to trying to love passersby the best that I can, and share my interests. People keep telling me, share your interests, share your interests, share your interests, and I am a fucking geek about the football, about the NFL. I do not. I'm actually intellectually opposed to college football. Depends on what you mean by that, Mama Bear. I'm a big proponent of capitalism, but I think that um, you would be surprised by what I mean by that. Yeah, a good game, and we all need our hobbies, and it's a game. If we can remember that it's a game, and we can remember not to get our consensual capitalism for sure. If we can remember not to get our emotions tangled up in it, so that we dislike people for which team they like or which players they like, and we can keep from saying poisonous things, caustic things to one another. Sports are great, but sports are also a great way to get your feelings hurt really bad by a stranger. So I get not getting the appeal. I really do. I really do. Like I was really quiet about the fact that I'm a metalhead for years because people just assume you're a neo-Nazi because there are so many neo-Nazis in metal. For sure. I get it. And yeah, we all need a vice. Right. The world is just too bananas. Orophile says that he watches cricket and baseball sometimes, but cricket is known as a gentleman's game. Uh, British sports do nothing for me. But hey, if it's yours, you love it. I get it. I don't like baseball either. And yeah, petty tribalism is hilarious until somebody calls you a terrible, mean name because you said that you like some player. I find baseball so boring, Will. I'm sorry, man. I want to root for the Dodgers, but I can't watch the game. I want to root for Otani because he's playing for free, but the game is so fucking boring. And that's such an arbitrary reason to watch a sport, and they have so many fucking games. That's the real reason I like the NFL. Like, to boil it down, I only have to pay attention to one game a week. Yes, the fun of baseball is absolutely going to the game. Being there is a fucking blast. Give me a hot dog and some popcorn, right? Give me a beer and a brat, whatever it is. That's a fucking blast. Absolutely agreed. And then yeah, getting to heckle that's what people forget. Saying all that caustic horrible shit when you're in the stadium, totally admissible. Saying it on Twitter is hurtful. And soccer is a cool sport that I find very boring, but let me say it this way. I can't say that football is a boring sport. I find it boring. What I find is Premier League, EPL football. I find infuriating because offside should be allowed to happen. That would be like if the MLB, not the MLB, that would be like if the NBA told LeBron or whatever they call the player kicking the ball has not one on one with the goalie. It pisses me off. Yeah, the fans are awesome. Soccer fans are badass. They're a lot of fun to hang out with and watch their game. It's a lot of fun to watch their game with them. But every time I see somebody hold up for offsides, it pisses me off. To me, we were talking about Bo Jackson earlier, Will. That would be like if Bo Jackson had to wait for a tackler before he crossed the end zone. Or like if Larry Zonka hadn't run that guy down and run him over in the end zone. Like, I just don't like it. The fake injuries get on my nerves, but I hear you. The warmest scarves. Look, there's a whole culture. There's a whole culture around it, and the soccer culture actually goes back to the Middle Ages and goes back to it goes back to the early days of modern capitalism. So we owe a debt. We owe a debt to club sports like soccer for sure. So I don't want them to go anywhere. Rugby as well. My first name is Vincent, but I go by Shags or V. Shaggy is also fine. I do not like Vince or Vinny. Football, for sure. I transitioned when your mom quit blowing me, privateer. That's what I'm talking about. That's the first thing people want to go to with me. You should transition. You should be a woman. You would make such a beautiful woman. Go fuck yourself. Hey, it's been great talking to you, Lawrence. I'll look for you in the future. Take care of yourself, man. I can't do it for you. Have a good day, or else. No, I would make a terrible woman. My my chin is too big. I love that for you, Bill. I really do. I would not look good as a woman. I used to wear my hair long. I would be wearing it long now if it weren't so fucking hot out. In fact, I would be wearing my mustache and my beard still. Jaden, I don't know why you're asking me permission. Of course you can. I don't know why you're asking me permission a second time. Go crush your goals. Or else. Yeah, for sure, Tristan. That's actually a good I might steal that. I might use that one too. Because if you don't, then you don't. If you didn't, you didn't. When this bottle's empty, regardless of how everything else is going, I do have to pack up and leave. They did. They played the precursor to the modern NFL. The game that is the precursor, the game that is the precursor to where the modern NFL and football and rugby diverged was a game that was played in the deep ancient world, and it had many of the rules of modern NFL or of rugby and NFL football. The scrum, the soccer was getting out of the scrum. It was getting the ball out of the scrum, and actually towns, even into the Middle Ages, used to play a game like football, like American football or rugby. They used to play a game like that to settle disputes between towns. And there was a festival in Rome. What Orophile is talking about here is there was a festival day in Rome where the town would split in half, and the whole city of Rome would try to get this ball across to the other side. It was extremely violent, extremely violent. There's a town in Florence, I think. There's still a game being played. The original game or a game like it is still being played in Italy. Hey, that's cool to hear, William. Beards are in North Carolina right now. I don't know. I'm gonna pronounce that to bang because I don't follow the NBA, but he was drafted to the NBA my sophomore year of high school, so he's the only great that I've ever been aware of. I was too young for Michael Jordan. I knew Michael Jordan for baseball and the Space Jam movie. That's funny, William, because down there they would ask too. Yeah, they would ask, and they would ask, trying to be polite about it, like, "Oh, we accept that you are this thing," and you're like, "Well, I'm not that thing, but thank you for accepting me, I guess." Yeah, I was really annoyed when LeBron did that Space Jam remake. So I don't know if he's the goat. I have no way of knowing. I did get to watch him play my junior year of high school career. There's an argument against him being the GOAT because he spent like the first 5 seasons in the Cavs just passing the ball. I was talking about the offsides and EPL football, and there was a moment in that game where he stole the ball, he gets across half court, he's at the free throw line before anybody has turned around and realizes he has the ball, and so he turns to pass it to one of his teammates under the goal and almost ran out of bounds with the ball and had to give himself a layup. So there's an argument to be made for him being the GOAT as far as being willing to share with people who have no business being on a basketball court. Yeah, the LA Raiders is it's hard to swallow. Yeah, the Oakland Stadium might not have been the shittiest. The Washington Stadium might be the shittiest. It literally rained shit on people. You know, I'm happy for Vegas. Vegas has wanted a fan for a team forever. I'm happy for the Raiders franchise because Oakland is Oakland, but man, it sucked for the people in Oakland. The people in Oakland do not want those teams to leave. They want those teams to bring businesses into town that they can work at. Hey, Russ, good to see you, buddy. Hope you're doing all right today. Hey, take care, Orfile. It's been great talking to you, man. It's hard. It's hard with some of these teams. Hello from Arizona. We're kind of talking about the NFL. We're not really talking about the NFL, but I'm circling around it because it's an easy topic when I've got football fans around, and I'm trying to make it palatable for non-football fans to hear me talk about my love for the game. Yeah, I'm not from. I've never left Ohio in a meaningful way, Ohio and North Carolina. But my ex-wife lived in San Francisco when Oakland went to shit, and she had a lot of opinions about the Oakland government. I hated it for San Diego too. San Diego deserved a team. St. Louis deserved a team for that matter. Your foot. We were talking about football, Russ, earlier. We were talking about and admiring the antiquity of the game's football. The mayor of Oakland got raided by the feds. Is that real? I believe it. If it is real, Tom Brady may be the maybe he may. It's hard to say because Peyton's neck makes the longevity argument hard to make. But I hear you, Will. May. I grew up a Marino fan, so the yeah but argument is hard. It's hard for me. The Super Bowl champ is it's hard to deny. The the 6-time system quarterback. It's hard to deny that he's the best system quarterback of all time. But I think Peyton might be the GOAT. Peyton's neck Peyton's neck affected the way we remember him. The way he went out affected the way we remember him. What we remember is that Super Bowl where he was just throwing up lame ducks. That's what we remember, but that's not who Peyton was. And so, yeah, Marino was crazy. I got to see Marino his final season. I watched him from the nosebleeds in the Carolina Stadium. Um, he got picked off by Kevin Green, but that game was unbelievable. Seeing him, look, seeing Marino, I haven't watched any. I watched Peyton do this too. That's why I'm saying I haven't watched a lot of football, but watching Marino from the end zone, we were in the nosebleeds in the end zone, watching him drop back, and then watching a guy jump up in the air 70 yards downfield and catch the ball was the most amazing feat I have ever seen in my life. That a man that age could still sling that fucking thing the way he could, and that's why we don't appreciate Peyton. Yeah, football. I was talking earlier, Russ. My ex-girlfriend, she was a huge EPL soccer fan. She was a Newcastle fan, and so I've watched a lot of EPL soccer. And what's it called? The offsides rule makes me fucking crazy, and that's all I know about European football. Charles Woodson, one of the best to ever play. He was one of my all-time favorite players. Hey, Josh. I'm really glad that I stuck around. I said I was only going to make it 2 hours, and then I just stuck around for whatever reason, and I'm getting to see my regulars. It's great to see you guys. That's my tent, MA. Let's see if I can move my leg in such a way. That's my tent. Great to see you guys. Normally I would be screencasting, so I wouldn't be able to see the chat. Yeah, it's been a great time. This has been awesome. I'm gonna start calling these. I called it Bottomless Philosophy because I thought that was a fun pun, but I should really call them just Shaggy's watering hole, and we can just hang out around a imaginary water cooler. My day has been blessed, Josh. That's what I was trying to articulate. Actually, is the last 2.5 hours have been remarkably free of people trying to hurt my feelings. I'm really looking forward to it, William. Hopefully, I can improve every day, and this could be a show that you look forward to seeing. My heart is very full right now. I'm honored, and I don't know how to I don't know how to express my gratitude. Thank you. I'm super glad to hear that, Josh. I really am. Yeah, good question, Justin Moody. Justin asked what my expectation for the Bengals. My expectation for the Bengals is 6 wins. I'm going to be honest with you. Um, my expectation is 6 wins. But if Chase and Higgins can stay healthy, they should be right there in the thick of it for a wild card spot. And then if they're in the wild card, that offense could be back in the Super Bowl again. That's my expectation. I expect 6 wins, but I'm hoping for another Super Bowl, man. I really am. You support your Bulgarian club. I didn't catch the first part. You follow Manchester City. Manchester City's fun to watch, man. She was a Newcastle fan, so I wasn't allowed to like Manchester United or Manchester City. But they play a fun brand of football, so I liked watching them. Counting your blessings daily, Will. I'm glad to hear it. I would have voted Trump Crusade, but I wasn't allowed to vote. They kicked me out. I want the Raiders to be good this season. They annoyed the shit out of me last year by not being good, and then the whole whatever they did with that tight end who's with the Dolphins now, the guy that had the alcohol problems, whatever was going on with that was annoying me, and Mark was getting on my nerves in general. And that his name, your owner, Mark Davis, he was getting on my nerves in general. But now they have professionals in their front office, and so I hope they are finally good, because god damn, they have had amateurs in their front office for so fucking long. Look, everybody likes Al Davis for being Al Davis, but I fucking hated his teams. I hated watching his teams. They were always a fucking nightmare of freak athletes. Freak athletes. I almost said freak athletics. They used to make me so mad because I'm a Dolphins fan, right? And you know exactly what I'm talking about. You know exactly what I'm about to talk about. They used to make me so fucking mad because they would always be so good. They'd be so hyped. And then they'd go to play Miami in Miami and they'd lose by 115 points, not show up, and then the season was just over for them. And they used to piss me off for that shit because it would get my hopes up that Miami was going to be good that year. And no, it's just that the Raiders decided they didn't like the Miami Heat and they were done playing football that year. They used to piss me off. So that's why I don't like the Raiders. It has absolutely nothing to do with the fans. I promise you that. I don't like the way Trump is managing his presidency either, Warren. I don't like it either. I really thought he was going to be a different kind of president this time. I don't know why. Not because I bought into any of the stuff. I just thought getting. I do remember you, Agent Leo. I do remember you. If I remember correctly, you're also from Morocco, right? Thank you, LOL. I'm not going to talk about Israel because you're going to get confused about my politics. For sure, Warren. That's his goal. And that's why it upset me. That's why it upset me. Because the party platform going into his presidency was to protect white males. Oh, I'm sorry, Agent Leo. I do remember you. I remembered your home origin incorrectly. Sorry about that. Um, but yeah, that's absolutely the Republican hierarchy's goal right now. The Patriots, man, I follow. I'm gonna end up not watching him anymore when he's on ESPN, but I follow Rich Eisen, and I have an affinity for Chris Brockman, and he's real down on the Patriots too this coming season. But they've got all the talent in the world, and you've got the quarterback. You've got the quarterback. Andy's a North Carolina kid. Yeah, I agree with you about Coach Carroll. I agree with you. He should. I am of the opinion that the reason he take care, Tristan. Crush your goals or else. Agreed, brother. Have a good day. Like, genuinely. Or else you won't. But genuinely, I wish you a good day. Um, I genuinely believe he got moved out of Seattle because he wouldn't fire that Shane Waldron. And so he chose to take the sword instead of firing Shane Waldron. And then that Shane Waldron almost tanked that fucking kid in Chicago's career. Tried so hard to tank his first season. I don't remember his name. That. Thanks, Tristan. Thanks for being here, buddy. Well, that's Warren. That's not a real. Are you schizophrenic? Like, are you okay? You bounce around so much, and that's coming from a place of concern. Like, are you diagnosed? Have you sought out a mental health diagnosis? I'm not making fun on any level. I'm trying to understand because you bounce and tone a lot. Thank you for your contribution, Sam. I'm asking if you're well, and if you know whether you're unwell, and if you know that you're unwell, whether you've sought help. Yeah, you haven't sought help. You're undiagnosed, and you need help. A. Thank you, William. It's been great. You're my first football acquaintance on YouTube, and I can't wait to see you again. Damn it, Sam. Why do you guys do this? Well, thank you for sharing, Cookie. I don't speak any languages besides English fluently. Yeah, you're unwell. That makes sense. But now that I know that about you, um, I'll know to expect it. It's like I've had friends who were meth addicts before. I had a friend who had a serious cocaine problem. You just know to expect their behavior to be erratic, and if it's erratic, it doesn't affect you because it has nothing to do with you or what you're saying or doing whatsoever. It's entirely about the Xannies. Sorry, Justin, I can't do the MLB. I want to root for the Dodgers because I want to root for Shohei Ohtani, playing for free, and I think it's really cool that the West Coast is embracing Japanese baseball and that South American baseball is more widely being embraced. But right, Warren, you're undiagnosed bipolar, and I know that about you now, so I know to expect you to be erratic. But is it? Let me ask you. Let me ask you, William, because this is a reference to Neebs, the Neebs gaming guys that I just want to make for myself. You don't need to get it. Is it a wet heat or a dry heat? That 87. No, it's really not bad. I'm in a perfect shade. This tree that's right over my tent. Let's see if I can show it to you. This tree that's directly above me right here is the sun is right under it. So I am basically under an umbrella right now, and it's like a dry 77. Last week was bananas. Last week was dangerous to be out in. Um, a few months ago, when I set my tent up, it was maybe the week before my birthday, 2 weeks before July started. Um, I have my hoe over there. I leveled out this hill that I'm sitting on in that heat, not knowing that it was that humid, and I had to shave my head because I was almost dead. 110. Where did you say you were in Arizona, Justin? And again, is that a hot or is it a wet or a dry heat? Because last week we were not last week. The week I'm describing to you, the week or 2 weeks before the week or 2 weeks before July started, it was 100% humidity and 88 degrees, and my stupid ass thought it would be a good idea to dig a big fucking hole. Well, if it's like 13% humidity, 110, you wouldn't even notice it. I don't have a favorite baseball team, Crusade. I'm telling you, I want to root for the Dodgers, but I find the sport so boring I can't watch it. And so if I learned that the Dodgers won or were in the pennant, isn't that what it's called? I'd watch the World Series if the Dodgers were in it, but that's as much as I can stomach. Shit, I didn't even watch it when was it the Indians? The they're not called that anymore. They're called the Guardians now. I should know that because my ex was pissed off about it. Yeah. Yeah, well, that's why I made that joke because it's probably 88% fucking humidity over there right now. So that you be an 88% humidity and 88 degrees Fahrenheit, please be by moving air. You will die, you will dehydrate a lot faster than you think. 21% humidity, yeah. So you've probably got like a nice comfortable sheen of sweat, and the air is probably moving because it's I don't know what Arizona's actually like, but it's probably windy. Not windy like Ohio gets, but the air probably moves nice. You like the Dodgers? Yeah, I want to root for Shohei Ohtani because I think everything that's going on with that whole movement is really cool. Um, but the game is so fucking boring. I just can't with the game. I can't 9 innings. I can't. I'll watch the highlights. I'm too anxious. Legitimately, I'll fall asleep I'll fall asleep during football games about halfway through the first quarter and wake up for the last 3 minutes of the fourth quarter, because that's when football games actually get interesting, like NFL football. I'll do it on purpose. That's why I said I need to actually make myself take notes this time and actually pay attention to what I'm watching, because I will. I'll yonk right the fuck out in the tent. It feels like the sun is on top of you. So you do not have the opinion about the Arizona sun that people from North Carolina have. That's why I said I don't actually know. I'm just saying what people from North Carolina say about it. They say that the humidity, you don't even notice the heat. In Charlotte, growing up, I grew up in Charlotte, and it used to be regularly 105 degrees, 70%, 80% humidity. 15 innings. Fuck me dead. That's 2 games. That's 2 whole games of Little League. That bunny likes to run through here to let me know that he's still alive. I don't know if you could hear it. Bunny just sprinted down the hill from the parking lot down the hill that way, and now he's hanging out. I can actually see him moving around. He's coming back closer to me. Sometimes when I'm sitting here reading, when I was reading Dante, I was reading the Divine Comedy by Dante. He sat out here and ate on my grass. I don't have it. He's eaten all the good grass. That's also part of why this is so bald and dying. But I do pee here, and that kills the grass. I couldn't afford sandals, so c'est la vie. It's ugly and gross. Can't cope with how boring baseball is. Now, we talked about this earlier, though. For my baseball fans who are watching this in the future, yes, going to the games, fucking great time. Ohio's great. I love Ohio. The weather. I love the biome. I love the biome in Ohio. The weather is beautiful and hot and warm and perfect. It's just very humid, and lately it's been in that humidity index that will drop you dead if you're not careful. Yeah. And see, if you like the humidity, if you want to just be sopping wet, you would love it here. But but I've grown accustomed to it. Let's put it that way. I've grown accustomed to it. But the days where like I'll walk down to the head shop, or I'll walk down to Wendy's, or I'll walk down to buy cigarettes or whatever, where I walk for an extended amount of time and I'm soaking wet, and then I go and I sit down in the sun on the patio, and it's humid enough that I'm getting more wet. The air is actually accumulating on my wetness. That sucks. That sucks bad. That's like walking into a swimming pool, and it sucks. Because then you go inside of the air conditioning, and now you're hypothermic. Now you can't keep your body temperature up. That I hate that experience, but that's an experience that you're not likely to have as a not homeless person. So different experiences. You told me that, Will, and I didn't react to it. The Oakland Athletics are also moving to Vegas. You told me, and I didn't react, and that's on me. That's a huge bummer. What I did say is that the Athletics and the Raiders were supposed to bring in jobs, not fucking leave. But yeah, that sucks for them. I I don't know. I've never met an Athletics fan, so that's probably why. That's probably why. Those teams become instantly interesting and relevant to bet on and to go watch. 2028, if they're in Vegas. Oakland isn't a destination city. It never was, except for those teams. So those teams did not invest in the local economy like Chicago is doing. Like the whole plan to move Chicago out of Soldier Field up to Arlington is so they can put down a whole local economy of restaurants and museums and entertainment, concerts, shit to do, venues, places to go and do things other than go to the stadium on Sunday. Whereas like the city of Chicago right now with Soldier Field, the only way that stadium can make money is when the Bears aren't using it, so it sits empty for most of the year. And that's probably what the Athletics had. Was the Athletics and the Raiders probably had these stadiums that were owned by the city that the city refused to book for anything but the team. Seattle desperately needs an NBA team. I agree with that, Justin. I don't even watch that sport. The NBA needs more teams. I don't even know how many they have. I just know they need more. That's a sport that it's cheap, and it could be represented in more cities. All 32 states need one. All 32 states could. Look, if Europe, if fucking where's Jokic from? Help me out. If Europe, if Slavic countries, let's just say it that way, if they can field the best basketball players in the world, then I don't know. Topeka, Kansas can field an NBA team. They can afford an NBA team, and they can afford the economy that comes with the going out to the game. There are 30 teams. There are 32 in the NFL, right? There should be more teams in the NBA. There should just be more teams. The NBA should almost be like the MLB, where you've got just tiers of teams. Denver? I don't know what that means, Justin. Oh, I see. I missed William here. Yeah, in the meantime, the Oakland Athletics are playing their home games in Sacramento. He's from Serbia. Thank you, Justin. Jokic is from Serbia. So yeah, if Serbia, right, is making the best basketball players in the world, then I hear you, Warren. You don't need to. I can't follow more than the NFL, and I have to take the off season off. That's why I said this isn't an NFL channel by any means. I don't talk about the NFL. Before today, there was a game, and there are games coming up. So I'm trying to get my brain back into it. But this isn't a sports channel. I just like learning about what other people are interested in. I think the Steelers are going to be another 6-win team. I think that's going to be a disaster like it was with the Jets. I think that Aaron Rodgers. Um, I think that his MVPs, those back-to-back MVPs, were a fluke. I think that they were because literally nobody else played well those seasons. But I also feel that way about. I feel that way about the Ravens quarterback, Lamar Jackson. I feel that way about both of his MVPs. I don't think Aaron Rodgers is good anymore. I don't think he was good anymore before he popped that Achilles, and I don't think he's good anymore. And I'm over listening to him talk. He keeps promising us that when he retires, he's going to disappear and we're never going to hear from him again. And I'm like, retire yesterday, please God. I was hoping that he was going to retire, that the Steelers were going to be like, we've moved on, and he would just retire. I'm over him. I've been over him for years now. But when he started talking I watched the first 30 minutes of him talking to Joe Rogan, and when he started talking to Joe Rogan, I was out on him as a human being entirely. Somebody shove him out of a plane, give him a fucking parachute, let him what's his name? Not H Holmes. Don't let him do that. Let him make off with all of the money and disappear from the plane. Fuck. I don't mean to rant about that. I feel it very intensely, and I don't talk about it very often. So I just gotta vent that off my chest a little bit. Fuck, I'm done with that guy. Yep, he signed with the Steelers, and I just had to put my head under the table. I'm sitting at the booth in Panera, and I just had to just crawl under the booth for a second and remind myself not to fucking scream. God damn it, he's gonna ruin Mike Tomlin's career. I wanted Mike Tomlin to be to it's exactly Brett Favre all over again. Because he wanted to go to Minnesota. You gotta be fucking kidding me. Anyway, I had to climb under that table and remind myself. This literally happened. I folded myself in two under the table to remind myself not to scream because I was in public. But I wanted Tomlin to force his way to Chicago when Eberflus got fired. I wanted him to force his way to Chicago before they hired Eberflus. So what the fuck do I know? Should have just retired. He he in his heart and in his soul, Aaron Rodgers knows that he is a better thrower of the football and he has better natural footwork than Tom Brady. And so he wants to take some other team to a Super Bowl like Tom Brady did because he, of all of the quarterbacks in the modern NFL since the 80s, Aaron Rodgers is the one who is most worried about his legacy. And I didn't care about that until he started doing the whole fucking podcast talking about how he doesn't want people to treat him like a celebrity. It's like, then get off the fucking podcast circuit. Thank God he didn't go to the Raiders because that was legit for a minute. There were rumors that he wanted to hook up with Tom. I'm glad. I'm glad they went with Geno. Geno is a solid middle of the road quarterback that's going to get you to 12 wins. People bitch about Geno not being a flashy quarterback. Oh, he doesn't have any MVPs. He's not Josh Allen. Yeah, but he'll get you to 12 wins, and 12 wins will get you in the dance. And all you need is in the dance. All you need is to get in the dance, because the Raiders are going to have a bad day, and the Bills are going to shit. Not the Raiders, I'm sorry. The Ravens are going to have a bad day in the wild card, and the Bills are going to shit themselves. So all you got to do is survive their idiot mistakes like the Patriots have done for 20 fucking years. But yeah, he's going to absolutely cook. I agree. I absolutely agree. Geno is going to look great in that offense, because they're not gonna play around with that stupid fucking Shane Waldron offense. They're gonna give him a real offense because it's Tom Brady. Tom's not gonna fuck around with some bullshit offense, some experiment with a first time play caller. I don't know who their play caller is, but they're not gonna be bad. They can't be bad. Josh Allen can't win. He can't do it. People forget I was a Dolphins fan. They don't forget that I was a Dolphins fan. People forget that before he hooked up with Tom House and the head coach of the Giants, I can't think of his name right now, but before those two guys got a hold of his footwork, Josh Allen could not play the game of football. I don't like the Ravens. I've never liked the Ravens. I've always hated the Ravens because the Ravens always dismiss the Dolphins in the wild card of the playoffs and then lose. So I just don't like the Ravens. I don't like their coach, Harbaugh, and I don't know. Lamar Jackson was great last year. He was really good last year. But he and Josh Allen, people forget those guys don't actually know how to throw the football. So they're still learning how to think about the game like a quarterback. And so we were talking earlier about, like, I couch whether Tom was the best over Brady, or whether Tom Brady was better than Peyton Manning, because I watched Peyton Manning know the game of football better than his offensive coordinators from his rookie season on, because he was in the Dolphins division. So I watched it intensely with both men. So that's my take on Josh. Right. How many more AFC Championships games are they going to choke because their offensive coordinator forgot to run the ball? Just run the ball with Josh if you need to. But their head coach, I have to practice getting back into these names. I know all of them. Sean McDermott. He's skittish to let Josh Allen actually be Josh Allen in the playoffs, because he doesn't want him to pull Cam Newton and get hurt on his way to the Super Bowl or in the Super Bowl. He wants, rightly so, for Josh Allen to have one of these 15, 20-year, 25-year careers so he can learn the game and then play at an elite Super Bowl winning level, year 20. The thing is, McDermott's got to win one of those or he's not going to be there. That's why old school coaches will hurt their players to get a Super Bowl win. The Bills, man, cursed. That franchise is cursed. That fucking, I love the fan base. Don't get me wrong. I love the Bills Mafia, but that team is cursed. That ownership group is cursed. I don't think McDermott's got the temperament, is what I'm telling you, though. I don't think he can win a championship, let alone a Super Bowl. It's been too long since I talked about it, but so I can't point to exact games. Like, I wish that I were Rich Eisen and I could point to exact moments. But he chokes. I don't think, and I know I've got a 49ers fan who watches me. I don't know that Shanahan, Kyle, can win a Super Bowl. Yeah, the Bills front office is just cursed. And I come to that opinion listening to guys who've worked in the front office do interviews. They're like, that's just cursed. Because there's an actual Buffalo tax. You do have to pay more for premier talent. And so Josh Allen might change that. But they might not need premier talent. That's the thing, is like they were better last year, and I can't name a premier player that played last year for them. Didn't the linebacker, didn't he get hurt early in the season? Four in a row is four lose. Justin Moody says 4 Super Bowl losses in a row is definitely cursed. I watched my ex-girlfriend, because I was an NFL fan, and for a while she really liked me. We had a really, really strong relationship, and she really liked me. She got really into the NFL, so she sat and she watched all of the 40 for 40s, and she watched all of the America's Game. Have you guys watched those documentaries, the America's Game documentaries? She watched them for every Super Bowl, however many, 50, 50, whatever, 52, however many they had in America's Game. And man, I didn't watch all of them with her, but I sat and I watched the 4 Bills America's Game seasons, and talk about choking. Talk about choking. Oh my God. Yeah. And it's weird because that was in the 80s, the 90s. That was in the 90s. That was almost maybe 30 years ago, maybe more than 30 years ago now. And that franchise, the players today on that franchise live with that ghost. I did not know that Buffalo was building a new stadium. And Jim Kelly is, people talk now, we talk about Drew Brees and we talk about Russell Wilson, but Jim Kelly was it. He was why those guys are allowed to play. Because before him, we had Manning, we had Archie. Archie was undersized and ran around. And they had Fran Tarkenton, and he was undersized and ran around. But they didn't win. They didn't win enough. Jim Kelly won it both in both leagues. So he didn't win the Super Bowl, but he won a fuckload of games. Thurman Thomas was an unfair advantage. He was just a tactical disadvantage for the defense. Like we talk a lot today about these quarterbacks, these running quarterbacks being a tactical disadvantage. You know, a direct snap to Thurman Thomas from the shotgun was a first down every fucking time. That guy broke my fucking heart, Will. When I was a little kid in the 90s, I was born in 87. That guy broke my fucking heart. I love defense, and the 90s Dolphins were not a defensive team. And Thurman Thomas, even when they were with Jimmy Johnson, he broke my fucking heart. My first playoff experience was watching him run across Miami's defense like they had 9 men on the field, just crying like a 9-year-old little kid, just a little kid just watching this Miami. There's nothing you can do. And then of course Marino throws like 9 fucking interceptions that game. Of course my memory is hyperbolic. I was a very small child and it was my first ever. I'm gonna sit down and watch a playoff game or a football game with my dad because it's a playoffs and he's telling me it's important. And god damn it. I had that feeling about the Cowboys too because Marino and Aikman used to play on. They used to play on Thanksgiving every year. Maybe not every year, but enough times that I fucking thought it was every year. God damn it. How we doing for battery? I'm about 9%. I actually need to transition to the next thing because we're at 3 hours and I said I was only gonna do 2. Hey, thank you guys so much. I'm not turning you off yet. I'm a person who, when I feel it, I like to express gratitude because I think it's something especially Americans don't do often enough. And then I've been researching world culture, and Germans also find difficulty with it, which means that French and British English are going to find difficulty with it if it's an Irish cultural thing to express gratitude for things that maybe French, German, and English people wouldn't express gratitude. Then I'm not doing something idiosyncratic. I'm doing something that I picked up from a culture outside my own. So I need to not take credit for that. The Tuck rule, yeah, for sure, for sure. Have you seen interviews? Have you seen interviews with Tom about that? Tom, now that he's retired, is fucking hilarious. He really leans into the comedy of errors of that moment now, and it's really cute. But I also hated that happened. I really held all of the circumstances around his career until Deflategate. Deflategate is when I was like, okay, this is just dumb. But all of it, I really held against him for years. And now we just wait to see if Bill pulls it with Carolina. If Bill pulls it with Carolina, we can give Tom a pass. We can give Tom a pass for all of it because every single bit of his unethical behavior was learned and culturally appropriate to the Patriots at the time. We need to watch the Vrabel Patriots for all of it too, because Vrabel was on that team. He was on those teams that cheated. So we need to watch Vrabel for cheating as a Patriot because of the cultural pressure from the owner. we as fans need to be prepared. I'm not saying watch out for it, like watch every game with scrutiny. I'm saying we as fans just need to be prepared for that moment so we're not in an emotional uproar about it, so we can behave like adults. Like, we probably could have seen that coming. Maybe we shouldn't have betted on Patriots games, right? And so I'm not talking to any of you. I'm actually talking to Chris Brockman directly right now. As a huge fan of Chris Brockman's work, I want him to have his own show, apart from Rich and apart from ESPN. But we want to be careful betting on the Patriots this season. Just until we know he's not going to cheat. I will be live later, but when I screen grab, I can't see my chat, so I can't interact with you guys until I have 1,000 subs. I'm not leveraging anything by saying that. I can't use an external UI or an external interface until I have 1,000 subs. So I will be live later. I will be gaming. Today, I don't know what I'm going to play, but I'll be back once I have charged my phone, and we're praying that I find my microphone fob. I also wonder how Belichick is going to do at UNC. I'm curious enough in that about that I might be following that season. I grew up a Tar Heel, and my current favorite quarterback right now, the quarterback that I'm rooting for the most, is that Patriots kid. I can't remember his name, but he was a Tar Heel. I grew up a Tar Heel, and so I figured I should probably root for Tar Heels, right? That's what Michiganders do, right? They root for every Michigander. Beyond all reason. Is it on the phone, Warren? Take care, William. It's been great talking to you, man. And yeah, I'll be doing this, now that this is going so well, 3 days in a row, I'll be doing this every morning until my battery is dead. Thank you guys for the, okay, it's on the computer. I can commit to when I have a computer again, checking that out. And for the chat, yeah, check out this game. What did he say it was? I'll plug it for him. I don't give a fuck. If he likes it, it's called Beyond Reason. Beyond All Reason. It's a free open source game on PC. Drake May, thank you very much. Drake May looks to me, just watching him play, if once he can figure out the game and get a little bit of coaching, he looks to me like Josh Allen with a little bit more natural quarterback ability. Like he seems to me like a guy who understands the game. He just really did not play enough ball in college. And that playing, you gotta, the NFL, man, you gotta get playing time, especially at quarterback. So I will be rooting for him all season. But we gotta, while I say that, whoops, I'm touching my screen while I do that. I'll be rooting for him. It'll be hard for me to root for the Patriots as a former Dolphins fan. I do it every year now, but yeah, we want to keep an eye on Vrabel. I really believe that. He didn't do a lot of unethical stuff with the Titans, but the Titans culture while he was there was so fucking toxic. It's hard to say one way or another whether it was him. And yeah, thank you guys so much. I have like 7% battery. I gotta tie this down to my bag. Got my water bottle so I can remember to go to Taco Bell with my last $6 tonight. Fill my water. And then, yeah, I will be live later. I gotta charge my phone. That'll take about 2 hours. If my fob is working, if my fob, well, no, that doesn't change anything. I gotta charge my phone. That's gonna take about 2 hours. Ashton Genty, yeah, for sure. And then I'll go hang out on the patio, or I'll just come back to the tent and I'll go live and we'll be playing. I'll be screencasting something from my phone. We'll figure it out when the time is more pressing. Thank you all so much, really. Thank all of you for your time, for being here for so long, for the likes. I'm sure that many of you subscribed. I don't get those analytics until after I close this. I really struggled for months with this because I was doing a lot of talking to myself, talking alone, and then the people who only came in to say ugly things because they could get away with it. And you guys have been a true pleasure. This is what I want to do with my life. A lot of people tell me, well, go get a job. And it's like, well, this is what I want to do with the time I'm spending at the job. I used to be that guy who would just stand and bullshit with you across the counter for however long you felt like standing and bullshitting, so long as you didn't mind that I was going to take care of other customers too. So it's a skill set that I have cultivated over 20 years, and it's a skill set that I want to share with the world. But all of my heroes don't work retail. All of my heroes are either musicians or talk radio hosts. So let's see if we can figure out how to take those skill sets, or at least those things that I love, into this new future. Because the radio is gone, y'all. Radio is gone. And this has been fun. Thank you so much. Have a great day. Or else.